Hey, how you doing? This is SEIJIHITO here to bring you another live stream, either a short one or however it basically works. Um, I'm a little bit tired of quite a few of these conversations that have been going on. We'll get to that conversation um a little bit later because again, I've covered and I've tried my best, and I do mean my best to bring awareness to a lot of these conversations and whatnot or whatever. But we're going to get directly into it. So let's start off with the first video applies.
Hey, just real quick. But this to my Latino brothers and sisters that follow me on here. I'm trying to get y'all to educate me on something. I'm being dead ass serious. I ain't even being funny. Um, I'm trying to see kind of what y'all feel. I'm trying to let y'all educate me on it because I don't want to be viewing y'all the wrong way. So I'm trying to figure out, do y'all feel like y'all align more with black folk, or do y'all feel like y'all align more with Caucasian? Like, and the reason I say that is because when I used to hear black and brown people, and I always thought we was like jointed to the hip. Like, I always thought we was the black folk, Latino, brown, So I always thought we kind of shared some of the same struggles, same hardships, same, just, you know, we were similar. I remember growing up, all my Latino buddies, they was on what I was on. But now that I look at it, it ain't as clear to me no more. And I'm trying to ask y'all, do y'all feel, Latino brothers and sisters, do y'all feel y'all are more in line with black folk? Or do y'all feel like y'all are now more aligned with Caucasians? And I don't know if y'all feel like y'all more aligned with Caucasians, or if y'all inspired to be more like them than y'all do black folk. I don't know. I'm fine with it either way. I'm just trying to get clarity on it, because it's not as clear to me now than it used to be. Like, I used to think we was in the same fight. But now when I see things, I remember the last election talking to Latino folk, and they, oh, no, he gonna, no, he gonna give us money, he gonna, and I used to be like, God damn, like, that's the motherfucker want to get y'all out of here. And the only reason I'm asking, because I need to know who I'm defending. Like, I don't want to be defending no motherfucker who don't even fuck with me, for real. So I'm asking so I know who I should and shouldn't be defending. So if y'all can just help me understand y'all thought process and who y'all feel y'all align more with, because I've seen, political candidates, black person, white person, and y'all motherfuckers, y'all be over there. So I'm just trying to get clarity on that. If y'all can help educate me on this, I surely appreciate it. And it's love either way.
So we heard that, right? Um, and this is why I have the pictures directly right below, where you can clearly see the sentiments throughout varying years of how it is that these folks have looked at Black Americans, right? You got one directly up there says Mexican mafia leader sentenced for trying to ethnically cleanse blacks from California cities. Another one states that Latino gang members firebomb black residents to drive them out of Boyle Heights protection. Another one, which I think she was a city official at the lower right hand side, it said expletive that guy. He's with the blacks, and that was a LA County city, individual. And then directly to the other side, you have the same quotes that I've referenced directly over the years, right? And some of them go as stated. We are not and have never been a civil rights organization. Personally, I hate the word. Another person stated that Latin Americans of Mexican descent belong to the Caucasian race and are therefore white. Another one says that let the Negro fight his own battles. His problems are not mine. I don't want to ally with him. Another person said that I know Negroes aren't getting their fair share of democracy. But frankly, I'm prejudiced against Negroes, and I do not believe that they are entitled to everything that we get. Now, again, some people will sit up there and say, "Oh, you're going for some stuff that's almost like 100 years old and stuff in the past and rah 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 rah." Okay, fine, no problem. Let's listen to some more up to date stuff, right?
People don't know is that Mexico is border with Guatemala.
Yes.
Okay, we don't let them in. So the same thing that America does to Mexico, we do to Guatemala. Okay, it just the news is CNN, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, New York Post. They're never going to show you that. Just so you know, Mexico is extremely racist. So we have what are
To Guatemalans.
even to its own Mexicans. So you got to remember, Mexico was dominated by Spaniards. The only reason I look the way I look
Yes.
is because I'm 65% Spaniard.
Yeah.
Mexicans, like real Mexicans, or which is known as Mexica, not Mexico,
Yes.
Mexica, are 5'4", super dark with big noses and the heads pushed back.
So you heard what he said. He said that those out there are racist towards their own, and especially towards the darker complected. And you have a lot of those who have more Spaniard blood, meaning from Spain, aka Europe, who appear more white. They are the ones that, in a sense, deem others who don't look like them to be below them. Let's continue.
Aztecs and Mayans.
Like Indians.
Like
you mean?
Indians.
Yes.
Well, we're natives, right?
Yeah.
So we're blended. So the reality is in Mexico, till this day, if you are not light complected, somewhat tall, you're frowned upon. To this day.
The black elected officials.
Right? So you were able to listen to a comedian, and like they like to say, that there's a little bit of truth within these jokes. And what she went directly through, in a sense, that type of tier system, where all of those who would be considered Latin treat themselves differently because of where it is that they're located, and specifically more because of how it is that they look. Right? And I've gone over this 99 different times. And it seems as though that a lot of folks either don't want to admit or understand the information that's being placed directly in front of people, and then people want to be like, "Oh, well, that's not all." No, it's more than enough. Let's try that one. It's more than enough that's specifically out there that feel that way. And if they feel that way, and like I told people before, if they feel like that at home, if they feel like that amongst their brothers and their cousins and off relatives, they feel like that towards their own people who speak the exact same language, have very similar cultures, what does that then mean for you being a Black American? Oh, they're especially not going to like you. But like I said, you can't tell nobody that, because people want to bring up these anecdotal type of things like, "Oh, well, I know this person and this person is a part of my family. They would never," or this, that. That's great. You got you found, some folks out there that don't fit within those bounds. That's great. So with you and your folks, move directly to the side. This conversation is not for you. And that's the problem. You have too many people that want to get directly in the way and want to body block and want to be a shield for something that, again, has nothing to do with them and their situation. If you got people and no people, stay directly over that side. We're talking about to the rest of the other people. There is not enough of you to defend the rest of what it is that we're seeing and talking about out here. But like I said, people want to attempt, people want to try, people want to derail the conversation, people want to, do whataboutisms and all this other type of stuff. Let's continue.
Officials refuse to address the problem. My own congressman refuses to address the problem. And I think the problem is black folks see all minorities as allies. And this is not the case. These people are not here for our common good. They're here for their own good. Where I don't have any ill will towards anybody, I also want to look out for my race. I'm a Black American. I've never used a hyphen. But I will refuse to turn my back on my race and see what's going on in South Central to my people and let these people come in here and just take over. I'm not going to sit back and watch it. And I think it's a terrible thing, a horrendous thing for anybody to see this going on and say, well, he's a minority like me, so I won't speak up. I don't care where he comes from. The key to this whole thing is stop the denial, stop the alliances of, in other words, he's a minority like me, so I can't speak up against him. If this was white folks committing these lynchings to us in South Central, what's going on, there would be an outrage in this country. We have had firebombs thrown through windows. We have had people's cars burned in the driveway because they happened to move into the wrong communities. We had a lady who moved to East L.A., came to the state from the South, not knowing what East L.A. was. It was an all-Hispanic community. She wasn't there one day. We had another man who was burned out of his house in Torrance last year. We had 5 murders in Hawaiian Gardens just because the people were black. This would not be tolerated if this was white on black crime. But the fact that these people come here, and it's the numbers, sir, it's the numbers. They come here in the numbers, they build up the Hispanic community, and they get this sense of power against us. And there are race riots in the schools every day in Los Angeles. It never makes the media. The black kids are being run out of the schools every day and told to go back to Africa. It never makes the media. We are having people who are being discriminated against on every avenue of society, economic, schools, even in our prisons now.
So we heard that, right? A black man literally coming directly to, and this is, you can clearly tell by the footage, this is older. This is probably like some 90s, maybe close to like some early 2000s. But he clearly stated that there's a variety of things going on in between the black community and Hispanic community directly out there, and that a lot of these things, they're not quote unquote advertised, so to speak, meaning that the mainstream media news, they're not trying to push that out there. They don't want to run it 24, 48, 72 hours. They don't care nothing about that. They don't care nothing about that. And again, you got to try to figure out why that is. Who specifically is, running the news directly up there? Who are the directors, the orchestrators? When it deals with that point of view, who is the director behind the lens, right? As what's his name? Boston accent, friends with Batman. What did he say? Goodwill Hunting. Matt Damon, that's what it was. Matt Damon stated that everything in front of the camera can change except for who's behind it. That's the only thing that should never change, meaning that him as a white man should always stay behind the camera and directing and showing the point of view. He was like, hey, to change the scenery in front of the camera, it doesn't matter. The only thing that really matters, that is finite when it deals with this whole narrative, is the person behind the camera. And that was one of the greatest lines that Matt Damon ever stated. And that stuck directly with me. And because that stuck with me, now I'm looking at the fact of what this older black gentleman stated on how it is that a lot of the race riots and different things, they don't specifically get the attention that they need or deserve, by way of the media. But, you try to inform, you try to tell people a lot of stuff directly out here. Folks don't want to listen. People don't want to specifically pay attention. Crazy work. Diabolical. Yo, Bushido, what is up? What is up? What is up? What is going on? So now we're going to look at another video. And this is technically one of the main reasons that I did the live stream. Because I'm tired of the narrative and how it gets spun time and time again throughout the years, right? So before we get there, what I'll do is that I'll showcase some other videos that have happened before the videos that I show you here, right? So let's look back at Obama. Right, and see what he had to state specifically to black men dealing with the election.
Is that we have not yet seen the same kinds of energy and turnout in all quarters of our neighborhoods and communities as we saw when I was running. Now, I also want to say that that seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences. He's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land.
Right. So that was basically him in his way of trying to, I guess you could say, scold or talk to black men as if he's a disappointed father talking to his sons when it deals with the fact of Kamala Harris and how the voting basically went. Now, again, quote unquote, Barack Obama is a black man in America. He's a black male that was president at this moment in time, previously. And this is how the Democratic Party likes to come at and speak to black men. Because for whatever reason, whenever the Democratic Party loses, the main person that always takes the blame, that is always the scapegoat, the patsy at the end of the day, is black men. And I've always found that to be very, very weird. Very weird, right? But matter of fact, let's go directly to another video just in case people don't understand.
Them for my opponent. We know that black voters are often discounted, and unfortunately this year black men have been a very targeted population for misinformation. Not misinformation about what they want, but about why they want what they deserve. And my campaign has been the only one that has very intentionally, thoughtfully, and consistently reached out. That has been misconstrued as concern when it indeed is just respect.
So that was back when Stacey Abrams was running and she ended up losing. And instead of taking the road of grace and just be like, hey, I lost, either I'll decide to run again and do better, or I'll just take this loss and walk directly with it into the shadows. People took a third option, which is like, hey, I'm going to sit up there and blame black men. Black men, you are the reason that Stacey Abrams did not make it. It don't matter what the polls state. It don't matter what the numbers specifically are. It doesn't matter the fact that you have black men out here that pretty much vote directly with black women in the same direction. Nah, we're not going to care about that. We'll care about the small minority who decided to vote another way, because those are the only ones that matter. Not the ones that sided with and voted directly with black women the same way that they've always been doing. No, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It's not showing us that black men vote. What shows us that black men vote is when they vote for the other side. That's what we pay attention to. That's what we talk about the most. That's what we want to sit up there and highlight. And then within that, we don't want to specifically just call out them, but we're going to use that to generalize all black men and say that you're afraid to vote for a black woman because you're misogynistic and you don't want to see a black woman in power because of the patriarchy and rah and all this other type of stuff, right? So let's look at a different video where you have another black male leader that pretty much shares the same sentiments.
Really quickly, too. Democrats need to be mature, and they need to be honest. And they need to say, yes, there's misogyny. But it's not just misogyny from white men. Mm-hmm. It's misogyny from Hispanic men. Right. It's misogyny from black men, things we've all been talking about.
Now, let me just pause it right there. I just want to know, that you have this white man up there that is a Democrat. It's cool. He wanted to talk about Mexican dudes being misogynistic. Cool. They're pretty much white anyway. No problem. But he decided within his own mouth, along with a white woman sitting directly on the side saying mm-hmm and co-signing, to bring up black men and to try to say that black men are misogynistic because a what black woman lost the race. How do we get here? How do we get here? Because if we're going to be 100% honest, white women do not want a black woman in a leadership position. These are just the facts. They're not going to do that. I thought, well, for all case for the case matter, I'm going to deal with Kamala Khan, even though she's not a black woman, but I'm going to go with Kamala Khan. And even though she had a white husband, white women were like, we're not voting for you. We're going to vote for Trump. And Trump is somebody that white women have complained about and they've talked about online on all of their talk shows and TV shows. They've been on blogs. They've gone on the internet and so on and so on and so on and talked all types of mess directly about Trump. But when it came to voting, white women were like, hey, we got our problems directly with this white man here. But in comparison to her, we're going to vote with this white guy. But let's continue.
Who do not want a woman leading them. Might be race issues with Hispanics. They don't want a black woman as president of the United States. You know, the Democratic Party, I've always found when you're sitting around talking, they love to just sort of balkanize everybody into these separate groups and say, oh, white people don't like women and black people. No, it is time for the Democrats to say, okay, and you and I have talked about this before, a lot of Hispanic voters have problems with black candidates.
Right.
A lot
and
of,
with other Hispanics. You got some that don't like each other. And,
Right.
and some of the most misogynist things I've heard going on this Get Out the Vote tour came from black men. I mean, misogynist things. So you're absolutely right. It's not simplistic. And we've
Right.
got to have real honest conversations about it.
real honest conversations.
And what you heard was not a real honest conversation. There is at no point in time that when it deals with black men that white people shouldn't even be in a conversation. You want to talk about somebody being misogynistic, you are the reason that the word was even created. So I'm a little bit confused on how all of a sudden that, just like when I told people about the pandemic was about everybody else. And then once that was getting a little bit too hot, they shifted it around, let me see, January, February, about March, April to June. The media all at once shifted the whole attention from the pandemic to being about everybody else and Europeans and all this type of stuff. And the three people who transmitted it from these three different states, automatically it went to the black community. It was the black community that was transmitting it. It was the black community that were the main carriers and infecting. And it's the black community that needs to be educated, and we need to push the black community to go do this and to go do that. And I'm watching that exact same thing when it deals with these elections every single time. When it deals with Stacey Abrams, when it's dealt with other black women directly out there running for something, as soon as they lose, here comes these people directly online sitting up there trying to state that black men are at fault, black men are at fault, black men are at fault, and black men don't like black women and all this. It's the exact same things. And I keep trying to tell people, I'm like, dog, if y'all really keep putting this out there into the universe, you're going to get exactly what it is that you keep speaking directly on. And it's going to be far worse than what you thought. Instead of black men voting in like the 70 or the 70th or the 80th percentile when it deals with a lot of these votes, they're going to be it's going to go down to 15. It's going to go down to 10. It's going to go down to 5 and then to 0. So then you will actually get what it is that you've been talking about for so long. Because I keep telling people always want to keep speaking on like the negative when it deals with black men, and they never speak into the universe any type of positive stuff dealing with black men. And this is all across the board. Like if black men are not voting correctly, we're misogynistic. We don't love the black community. We're afraid to have black women in leadership, and we don't love our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunts, our sisters, our daughters, our black female coworkers. And I'm like, wow, this is what we got directly from this whole. I'm like, okay, all right, you got it, no problem. So now, after we were able to, in a sense, walk through that to understand that there's a basis for what it is that I'm speaking directly on, let me show you what led directly to this conversation in 2026.
The real reason why people did not want Jasmine Crockett to win, it isn't policy, y'all. It's not her experience and it's not her incompetence. It's about two things, y'all. It's race and it's gender. Because to this country, a black person winning is already too much, y'all. But y'all put a black woman winning, that's double the threat, double the hate. And y'all know what's even sadder and even sicker and even more sadistic? You've got black men online tearing Jasmine down for her wigs, weave, lashes, ghetto, being loud, throwing her under the bus, doing the goddamn work of white supremacist ideology for free. Still competing with black women, still trying to police them, still not realizing that her winning is not a loss for you. It is a win for an entire race.
So I just had to pause it right there. I'm just trying to figure out, because she said that this is a win for the whole entire race, and that at no point in time should Jasmine Crockett be critiqued on anything. Fine, no problem. So let me just go to what Jasmine Crockett stated here.
Go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
I know that's right.
Right. So you heard that. And you heard the person from the community. I know that's right. Right. Directly in the background. Right. Directly in the background, co-signing every single thing that she was speaking directly on. The one main thing to pull directly out of that is Jasmine Crockett said that we are a nation of immigrants, and she had to go around the country and educate people on how immigrants built this country. So going directly back to this woman here, where she was stating that a win when it deals with Jasmine Crockett would be a direct win for the black race, I guess you could say. I'm a little bit confused on how and where. If she's specifically stating as a Democrat that this is an immigrant country and that immigrants built this country, how is that a win for black Americans? Because didn't we just have the exact same conversation with Mamdani when it dealt with who specifically built this country? Right. Let me see if I can actually get a clip that was up here, because there was a young woman that specifically spoke to Mamdani. Here we go. Let's look at this real quick.
End of Black History Month. So I have two questions for you. Oftentimes we hear people say this is a city built by immigrants, but how do we also include enslaved people and indigenous people who have built the foundation of America and New York City as well?
So I have to admit, I've been guilty of this myself.
I didn't want to say
it's true. I did say that myself.
A city built by immigrants.
And I think the first thing is, if we're being honest, then we have to tell the full story. Right? And when we tell a sweeping generalization like that, we lose sight of the fact that black New Yorkers helped to build New York City.
I felt some type of way.
Understandable. Understandable. That's why I'm here to apologize, because you learn from it. And I think that as much as we want to, and we should, support immigrant New Yorkers and their incredible place in the city, doing so doesn't necessitate that we overlook the contributions of black New Yorkers. We can tell that full story.
We're at the end, and we know that Black history is American history. We celebrate it 365 on my corner of the internet.
Come on.
So tips and tricks for or your suggestions for how we should celebrate Black history beyond February?
I think we need to remember that we can't tell the story of this city without telling the story of Black history. You know, I think about David Dinkins often, the first Black mayor of our city. He spoke about New York City as a gorgeous mosaic. And there's actually a municipal building right next to City Hall named after David Dinkins. And we have opened it up. It's going to start in June, where New Yorkers can see a view of that beautiful mosaic themselves. And I think it's incumbent upon us to understand that not only is Black History Month not only for the month, it also didn't start 100 years ago. It started way.
Right. So we were able to hear that, right? So the exact same thing that I stated before, you have all of these people that have come out over time speaking against Black Americans in one way or another, not wanting to acknowledge Black Americans in one way or another. But yet these are the people that are part of the Democratic Party. And the main thing that I told a lot of Black Americans is that Black Americans have been subbed out and replaced with a new team. You're not even bench players no more. They just push you just over to the side, maybe to janitorial duty when it deals with the Democratic Party. This is why you have masses of immigrants coming directly in here under the variety of administrations that have been here in order to, you know, give new blood, new life, new people who will just blindly follow, you know. And when it deals with a lot of the folks that have been allowed directly over here, like let's say the Africans, right? They'll decide to just go with the flow. They'll do whatever it is that needs to be done so that they can get whatever it is that they need. Because they know that they're showing a type of allegiance or that they are very great at being followers. And this is when a lot of other people want to pull up and say that Black Americans don't really love America because we're not willing to just go with the flow or do this or do that, not understanding the fact or being ignorant on purpose of the fact of the history of Black Americans, what it is that we've had to deal with, what it is that we have had to specifically face when it deals with these elections, no matter if it's Democrat or Republican. Black Americans have been used all over the place. It doesn't matter if it's the North or the South, wherever you want to sit up there and point it to East, West, whatever. Black Americans have always been used in order to push progress for other people directly out there. In the moment in time that we serve no more usefulness, this is when people shelve Black Americans. So at this moment in time, Black Americans are shelved. If you look at the landscape currently in the United States, who primarily are the ones that are receiving funds, that are receiving monies, that are receiving the leeway without pretty much any type of red tape in order to solidify what it is that they want to do. You see a variety of groups that are directly out there that are not Black American. They can build up their communities. They can have only, you know, they can have a specific thing like, let's see, the Arabs in Dearborn, Michigan, they got pretty much their own city. They got their own police force and everything else. If you go to a lot of other places, other people, you got Haitians, Jamaicans, Trinidadians, all this other stuff. Like people got really their own spots. Ain't nobody saying nothing, no fuss, no muss, nothing. But as stated before, even with Black Americans voting Democrat or voting Republican, the moment in time that Black Americans have tried to attempt to do the exact same things historically, somehow things get laid to ruin. Somehow something always comes up. There's always some red tape. Something always goes wrong. But the moment in time that you mention to bring this stuff up, people are like, no, you're just being victims. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You're always talking about this and always talking about this, but you never take responsibility for X, Y, and Z and all this. Like I said, man, it's crazy work out here. But let's go back to the previous lady.
We throw that word around ghetto, but what exactly is ghetto? And how come it don't stick to white folks when they do the same goddamn thing? Because when Black folks talk loud, dress bold, wear wigs, weave flashes, it's called unprofessional, too hood. But when white folks turn around and cosplay and do the same thing, that same behavior, it's relatable, it's authentic, it's quirky, and it's shared and it's celebrated. Same behavior, different skin, different type of judgment. So now, this backlash isn't about standards. It's about who they think is allowed to lead. And until we stop internalizing white superiority and projecting it back on black women, we'll keep sabotaging our own race and our own.
So basically, by her account, black men are to blame, and then white people are to blame. So let me just bring up this here, and I think this still had to do with Texas, right? Right. So she wanted to state that black men are to blame for the reason why Jasmine Crockett did not get, her seat. So I need somebody to explain this one to me. Dallas County District Attorney, Democratic primary. Amber Givens, 51.8%. John Cruzat, 48.2%. Amber Givens wins Dallas County District's Attorney over incumbent John Cruzat. Givens won with nearly 52% of the vote in the Democratic primary election. So how was this, for all intents and purposes, how was this black woman able to win and Jasmine Crockett was not able to win? I don't even know who this woman is. Amber Givens, I've never heard of her. I've never seen her before. Again, I'm not really that in depth when it deals with, Texas like that. I'm only paying attention right now because Jasmine Crockett was there, right? Jasmine Crockett is a brand. It's a name. It's all of these things. You've seen her all over social media, right? All types of highlights, clips, whatever you want to sit up there and post it as. But I'm trying to figure out if black men don't love black women, if black men are misogynistic, if black men don't want to vote and all this other type of stuff, explain to me how this black woman won. I need some answers. Because in one instance, when it deals with Jasmine Crockett, we're going to highlight this and showcase the fact that this is how really black men feel about black women. They don't want us to be in office. They don't want us to have leadership positions. They don't want us to have more power over them and rah, 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 right? More with the divisiveness, where it's black men versus black women, right? But yet we're looking directly at this in front of you. And this was 18 hours ago. Explain to me how it is that this black woman won. Who was the cause for that black woman winning? Are we going to sit up there and now levy to sit up there and say that, okay, black women voted and white people voted and other folks voted directly to get her in office? Is that what we're going to say? And we're going to sit up there and say the reason that she won is because of everybody else and it wasn't because of black men? Like, what are we going to say? How are we going to sit up there and swap this? How are we going to do that? Because like I said before, when I go directly to this video here, she don't have nothing to say about the black woman who ran and she won her race. She don't have nothing to say about that. She's not trying to say that, it was just all black women that did it and everybody else it wasn't none of that. She wanted to go off on the whole thing of Jasmine Crockett and blame black men. How do you focus on this? How do you focus on Jasmine Crockett, but then you overlook this? And it's still within the exact same frame, roughly, when it deals with men versus women. Now I will sit up there and say, when it deals with the whole thing of Jasmine Crockett, it dealt with the fact that she was running against a white guy. And the main thing that was stated, and let me also highlight this. This is another reason why I have a problem with the whole narrative that folks out here want to spin when it deals with black men. Let me just showcase this bit of information here. Let's just read this together, guys. What does it say? It says how Latino voters helped Talarico win in Texas. That was a guy that was going against Jasmine Crockett. So I'm looking directly at the headlines. The headlines are not blaming black men for the reason that Jasmine Crockett lost this race. They're specifically stating that Latino voters came out and they voted for somebody else that is obviously not Jasmine Crockett. So again, knowing this information, and then going back to this video, I'm trying to figure out how are we still in a timeline of which you have black women that come directly out here and decide that they want to blame black men and have them at fault for something that black men have nothing to, like, black men didn't cause this to happen. Like, I'm a black man sitting here and I'm trying to figure out, like, how was I even at fault for this? Like, brother, what are we talking about here? It's like people don't want to pay attention to information out here at all. Like I don't understand. Like, that's wild to me. Like that is diabolical at this moment in time. It's like whenever I've heard, I put it to you like this: whenever I've heard black men lose a vote or lose a race, I never heard black men come out online in droves all over the place and say that, oh yeah, the reason why we lost is because, you know, black women, they don't want us in the seat of power. They don't want us to hold a position. They don't want us to be the leads. We don't do that. It's like, hey, a loss is a loss. I did all I could. You know, maybe I could have done better. But I'm going to take this time and I'm going to reassess the situation and come back better and stronger for the next election. That's normally what you see happen. I don't magically see, you know, black dudes who have these mainstream media spots like a Joy Reid and many others that want to come up online and just, we're just going to just solely blame 100% on everything on black women. It's just all black women's fault. The reason why black men are not in power, not in office, don't have positions of this, that, and the third, and not. We don't got no time for that. Like that. That's just stupid. That's just stupid. But here we are, 2026. And this is the conversation. This is the conversation. That's wild. Better yet, let me add another thing when it deals with the Jasmine Crockett situation, because like I said, I try to give people you know, a little bit more information that they may not have heard or seen or known anything about. Let me try to get this video real quick. Let me see. I gotta go back to downloads because, like I said, I'm just highly confused in these situations.
Stated, we encourage each and every one of you to remain resilient. We cannot allow this type of behavior to be rewarded, because so long as they know that they can win, even if it means cheating, then they will continue to do it. So I am asking you, I am begging you to make sure that you go ahead and figure out where it is that you are supposed to vote, stand in line, wait in line.
Right. So within that, in that video, the argument that's being levied is that Jasmine Crockett did not get a fair shake, that some things are pretty much up with the polling areas and things dealing with the election. The problem that I have, like I said before, I try to look at things as even as possible, and I try to be as fair directly across the board. So when we heard this exact same thing when it dealt with Trump, everybody clowned Trump. And again, this is not me defending, because I've called out things like this when it dealt with what was it, John Kerry and was it John Kerry and Al Gore with Bush? I forgot. It was in the early, some people know what I'm talking about, early 2000s, when there were actually, like, when you see it, there were things literally that did not sit well, that just was not right. You could clearly see it. But again, going back, when Trump stated this exact same thing that Jasmine Crockett stated, everybody wanted to go online and was like, loss is a loss, lose gracefully, making excuses, rah, right? Because it was a Republican candidate that said it. So now we got a Democratic candidate saying the exact same thing. And I don't see people online trying to make fields of videos, trying to sit up there and clown and trying to do this and trying to do that. Like I said before, like, yo, this is why I'm tired of a lot of folks out here. Because, like, people can't even just stay consistent. And I say this time and time again. I'm like, all right, if you're going to complain about one thing, cool. Make sure you're there to complain about the whole thing when it happens again. So on the Republicans, when it happened to the Republicans, everybody wanted to complain, laugh, sneer, ha ha, he, tookie, right? All of that stuff. Now you got a Democratic candidate sitting up there saying the exact same thing. I'm expecting that exact same energy. I'm expecting people to make fields of videos. Where are all of these folks out here who are Democrats to start making fields of videos? Where? What happened? Where is it at? You already know you'll have Republicans out there, probably make some videos and saying some stuff, but I'm just saying, where's all the videos? Where's all the energy that people had before? Like I said, people making tons of videos during that time because I remember Petridge Farm remembers. But now, when the shoe is on the other foot, people are dead silent. People are dead silent. That's some wild work, though. That's some wild work. Like I said, I feel like there's corruption everywhere, realistically. And there's only one section that wins at the end of the day. But it is what it is. Because I keep telling people before that, long story short, when it deals with, let's say, presidential elections, the electoral colleges are the only ones that matter. Your vote does not matter. I've been saying that well over 6+ years. People don't listen. Like I said, if the greater majority of Americans opted not to vote, you will still get a president. That's how that works. Because there's been too many times that normally the popular vote is supposed to be the vote that matters. And usually, a lot of folks have the popular vote. And it's like, nah, popular vote don't count. This person, these votes over here matter. So this is the candidate that's going to sit up there and win. Seen it happen too many times, and people just not question it. Like I said, the electoral colleges told everybody to shut up when Joe Biden was placed in office. And everybody was arguing back and forth because I remember it like it was yesterday. Everybody was arguing online, tooth and nail, Republican, Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, all this other type of stuff. Rah, 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 rah. And then as soon as the electoral colleges came directly on X and they told people basically to shut up, such and such is the president of the United States. That is it. Everybody just like left the whole conversation. I was like, wow, that's all it took. It took for some shadow individuals out of nowhere that y'all have never seen or met at any point in time at none of these election polls. You ain't never seen any of these folks at these electoral colleges, right? And these are the people they just calmly told you to, shut up and y'all listen. Wow, that's crazy. Maybe we just need to have the electoral colleges telling everybody in America what to do, and then maybe America will actually be better, I guess. Because, like I said, I've never like that. That's just wild. That is diabolical. Broski, what is up? You said in my state illegals are allowed to. Oh, what's up, Sham? My bad. Just in case I didn't say what is up. What is up, Sham? Broski said in my state illegals are allowed to get state IDs, and anyone who gets a state ID is automatically registered to vote. I mean, I've covered stuff like that before in a variety of states. I've covered people becoming police officers. I covered people in certain states who are not even directly from it could have been just directly from like China, and they're automatically having a seat directly in government. And I'm like, how are we doing this? And then to make it worse, the same person that has that seat in government that is not even a citizen, that ain't even really been here, they're out there talking in whatever broken English that they got and trying to convey. I'm like, oh, it's cooked. I'm like, everything is done. I'm like, everything is just completely just cooked directly out here. People just don't want to pay attention, and people like everything is everything. It's crazy. Yo, Monster, what is up? You said been saying the same as for years. LOL, the electoral colleges is responsible for the presidential candidates being president. Vote locally. Yeah, I've told people that too. But it'd be like that. It'd be like that. Broski said Michigan, the Secretary of State sent a letter. Hold on. You said sent a letter stating that. LOL. Master Blaster, what is up? You said saying they can't is disingenuous. Why do you think they are pushing voter ID? Sham said, green card holders can vote, not illegals, illegal immigrants, and documented, and those who don't have a green card cannot vote. What else we got? What is up, Miss Berger? What is up? What is up? What is up? You said, but folks say immigrants can't vote. Let me see. Sunset, I'm watching you on YouTube live as well. Hey, much love, respect, and appreciation. Much love, respects, and appreciation. Like I said, throughout the videos, I've covered a lot of stuff over a variety of states where things have been happening. Either things such as what did they wanted to sit up there and call it back when Doge was a thing? What was it? Did they consider it voter fraud? I'm not specifically sure, but there was a video I remember that I did where you had Elon on stage and they were going through a variety of states and how it is that you had people that were, I guess you could say, illegal or whatever it is, that were found to have voted or whatnot or whatever. You also had other things directly out there where people were able to get, different types of government assistance or different types of monies. And I've talked about this a majority of times, and the reasons why I've highlighted that is because Black Americans do things the straight and narrow, right? For just dealing with the majority, do things the straight and narrow, and we're told that, hey, if you do the right things, you follow the rules of the land, you follow the law, and you get your education, all this stuff, then you're going to be able to live the American dream. And what a lot of Black Americans are waking up to realizing is that in order to live that dream, you have to be asleep. And Black Americans have never been able to actually go to sleep, to actually have that dream. Everybody else can, come from wherever it is that they're coming from and be asleep and have that dream, aka the Matrix. Black Americans have always had to live in the reality, right? And that's clear cut the difference that I don't think a lot of people actually understand when it deals with us. So if we want to go out there and get business loans, chances are a lot of the banks, they're going to be like, oh no, you're a Black American, we're not going to sit up there and give you that loan. They're not going to specifically say because you're a Black American, but they're going to disqualify you a variety of ways. But all of that, it does have to do with you being Black, because the same things that they can disqualify you on, they can disqualify anybody, but they're not going to do that, because there's a certain population that they want to actually make it and to have that dream, because with that trade-off of them giving that money or facilitating a livelihood directly for them, making them comfortable, in return they know that they're going to get those people to vote the way that they want them to sit up there and vote. And this is why we have a lot of the elections turn out the way that these elections turn directly out, because the powers that be have given other folks money and a little bit of power, and in return, they were like, hey, we're going to show our allegiance by voting directly, however it is that you guys say that, you want us to sit up there and vote. That also brings us directly back to the Somalian situation where I showed you a video where the Somalians got online and they were like, hey, if everything in Minnesota keeps pointing in this direction towards us and we're made to feel uncomfortable and uneasy being here as Somalis, then we're going to sit up there and have to start shifting our vote in a different direction. Basically, the Somalis are threatening with their vote. They're like, hey, if you don't sit up there and basically get off our backs, right, and Democrats are watching this happen, we're going to take our votes and we're going to automatically start voting Republican. We're going to get you out of here. So, and they boldly stated that. I'm like, wow. I'm like, y'all actually letting them say that? And y'all don't got nothing to say about it? I'm like, wow. I'm like, that's crazy, because let Black Americans say that, don't nobody care. Again, this is why we got a high immigrant population directly here, because the Democratic Party has made sure that when it deals with voting, they got fresh blood directly in here, so that if Black Americans wanted to give anybody any lip, they were like, we don't need y'all. We're gonna put y'all on the shelves. Y'all old news, right? Y'all the old team. Y'all the old all-stars from like the 60s and the 70s. So we not even looking at y'all no more. We're looking at the Kobe's, the LeBrons, and the Jordans right now. So we got all of these immigrants here that are basically the fresh all-stars, right? They're the main ones selling the merchandise and doing this and doing that. We don't care about, y'all old timers out here. Say whatever y'all want to say. It don't matter, because we got them to sit up there and supply us with brand new votes. We give them what it is that they want. They want a new life coming to these United States. They want to be able to get a house, an apartment. They want a nice paying job. They want to, loans for a brand new house or business or whatever it is. They need something for their kids' college fund. No problem. Maybe they might want to bring some other family directly over here. Fine, no problem. All we need y'all to sit up there and do is vote directly for us when it deals with the Democratic Party. That's all you got to sit up and do. And that's what's been happening. Slowly but surely throughout these decades, that's what's been happening, where Black Americans have been replaced voter-wise, right? And it's not even just going to be voter-wise, it's also going to be population-wise. But again, this has been talked about for the longest time possible, but people don't want to pay attention. It be like that. It is diabolical. Shout out to Brandon V. World for the $5 dono. That man said, was good at work, but here comes a new challenger. Yo, what is up, sir? Much love, respect, and appreciation. What is up? What is up? What is up? But yeah, it's crazy. It is it's diabolical in nature. Diabolical in nature. I think I do. If I can actually find it real quick, there's something that fits directly within the context of this video here, but it was specifically stated by here we go. We're going to go directly into this video here. Glad I found it.
Reasons to vote for James Tallarico, but this ain't it. Watch this video clip and we'll talk about it.
Cast my vote for James Tallarico. It doesn't matter to me, white man versus black woman, whereas James Tallarico has a bit more of a softer tone, understandably.
Everything she said after she said softer tone is irrelevant. She could be the most informed person about politics in Texas, and no one should care, because what she did here is use a ploy that white women have been using for generations. And it is harmful because it reflects our internalized misogyny, but also racism. This is subtle, but it's toxic, and it shows this indoctrination that manifested in her words. This is the exact indoctrination that many of us received. We often don't believe we have it because we're talking to people who have been trained to hear that proverbial dog whistle. And what is that dog whistle? Softer tone equals less threatening equals more attractive to white people. So what exactly is a white woman saying when she says she prefers a white Christian man because of his softer tone, and that makes him more appealing than a black woman? Well, that is a well-trained instinct inside white supremacy to treat whiteness as safety and blackness as a threat. Softer tone has always been code for what keeps me comfortable. And comfort is a currency white people have demanded at the expense of black women's credibility for generations. Jasmine Crockett is what accountability sounds like when it refuses to perform gratitude for being tolerated. Tone policing is how people dodge the actual message. So when facts are inconvenient, you critique the delivery. So when a black woman refuses to shrink, they'll use words like angry, unprofessional, aggressive, rude, combative, or as Professor Courtney said in her video, Jasmine had a firebrand. That script is old, my friends. The only thing that changes is the century. And in her video, Professor Courtney alludes to her training in American history. So let's talk about it. After the Civil War, the nation had a choice: protect the liberation of black people with force and law, or reconcile with the very people who built wealth on slavery. That led to Congress passing enforcement laws because white terror was organizing, and it was strategic and it was relentless. The white sheep men used violence to block black people from voting, from holding office, and from owning property. That is why the federal government created tools like the Enforcement Acts. But then the country made a unity choice, and that's the Compromise of 1877, which is widely recognized as the political deal that effectively ended Reconstruction. Federal troops were withdrawn, And the protection that Black communities needed was completely abandoned. Once federal protection left, white supremacist rule resurged and the rights of Black people collapsed across the South. And who was responsible for Reconstruction becoming more about protecting the dignity of white Christian Southerners than liberating Black people? The white Christian man. And who gets protected the most under this Christian patriarchal structure that is our government? The white Christian man. Now let's layer the Christian engine that's underneath all of this. Ministers literally published defenses of slavery and framed it as divinely sanctioned. They connected slavery to household order. Now that matters because it shows how easily Christian language can be used to sanctify the maintenance of white Christian patriarchy, not only in slavery, but in segregation, in voter suppression, and look what's happening in this country right now. So here we are today, where Black people in leadership who refuse to perform deference to white Christian men is questioned as being too loud, and white Christian men attributes of softer tones seems to be appealing. She may deny saying it, but that is the undertone in this video. Every time a white woman uses this language, it's a reflection into the indoctrination into white supremacy. That is the vein that runs through American Christianity. It taught us to choose the white man's voice that feels familiar. Choose the man who sounds pastoral. Choose the one who will keep the peace, even if peace is built on someone else's silence. Now let me be clear here. James Tallarico may be sincere. He may be talented. He may even be courageous in the way he critiques Christian nationalism. All of that is good. But this is bigger than James Tallarico. This is about a system that rewards white Christian men for sounding safe while punishing Black women for sounding strong. So here's the question I want every white voter, especially white Christian and ex-Christian voters, to answer without flinching. When you say you want soft, who are you asking to suffer quietly so you can feel calm? And here's the question I want white women to answer, because this is where we love to hide. Are you calling Tallarico's softer tone appealing, which means you're calling a Black woman too much because she actually is, or because you were trained to treat Black clarity as danger? Jasmine's firebrand energy is not a personality flaw, and it is not a weakness. She has already proven that. Jasmine's brand is a refusal to negotiate with the very patterns that have crushed Black women for centuries. So no, I'm not interested in the fantasy of the gentle white Christian man rescuing us from the mess white Christian patriarchy has gotten us into. They have been the catalyst that has caused our excruciatingly, painfully slow crawl to claw control of human rights that, if white Christian men were truly living their faith, they should willingly offer it and give it. Instead, they romanticize a unity that prioritizes white Christian men. And that's why I say right now we need white Christian men to stay in their lane. And I wrote about it and I meant it. Liberation is not going to come from the same social conditioning that upheld the cage of oppression. If your deciding factor is, I like how he talks, then you need to pause and sit with that, because your nervous system has been trained by whiteness. Mine was too, and I want voters to choose courage over comfort. Now, if you're a white woman watching this and you feel defensive, good. Defense is often the doorway to awareness. Let the discomfort do its holy work. And if you're tone policing Black women while claiming you care about justice, you are protecting the very system you say you oppose. You need to deconstruct and decolonize your beliefs and ideology, because you are holding on to views that protect your privilege.
Right. So we heard that long, drawn-out video. Long story short, my main perspective directly on this is that two main demographics helped Jasmine Crockett lose, none of which are Black American men. Number one, white, and number two, white. Meaning, number one, you have both white men and women that voted against Jasmine Crockett, and number two, you have Latin or Hispanic men and women that, again, voted against Jasmine Crockett. Those are the main two groups in Texas that voted against Jasmine Crockett, and that is what specifically led to her loss. It has nothing to do with Black men. And again, that's just my main point. For me, I don't care about nothing else. I don't care about nothing else. I'm just very much tired of looking throughout the years that black men are consistently to blame or put directly dangling, put to the front and dangled at the front of center, telling people, look at here, look at here, look at what I got. This is the cause, this is the problem, this is the issue. I'm tired of that. Like the best way to put it is that there is a type of I'm not going to say initiative. I guess you could say the word eludes me at this moment, but you have these individuals directly out there betting directly on this one thing, which is emotionally working directly on black women because it's the easiest thing to do. And the best way to do that is to dangle black men directly in front. That'll just set a whole bunch of people off. It's very easy to sit up there and do, just even with a black man standing still. It'll set people off. Matter of fact, to give an example of just sitting still and setting people off, let me see if I can find. Oh, I don't have a video here. Oh, that's wild. That is wild. Let me actually get that real quick. There is a video. Let me see if I can scroll through my handy dandy bookmarks and potentially go directly to it if I can. I don't think I rebookmarked the image. I don't think. Let me see. If I was smart, I know I rebookmarked it. Let me see. That's 12 hours ago. That's the lady. That's the mom. It's a UFC fight. Tellerico, Jasmine Crockett. Okay, so I'm actually going to have to go back up. But yeah, so before I find that video, like I said before, my main thing is, like I said before, defending, black men when it deals with things like this, and also defending black fathers. Because both within the exact same context, people say that these things don't exist. Black men wanted to be fathers, and black men, supporting black women. People always want to believe, these types of narratives directly out there, which is egregious to me. And there we go. I found it. Let me just catch this real quick. Like I said, it takes nothing in order to set people directly off. All you got to do is just give them a video of black men just doing something normal, and people just, want to start running their mouth. So let's just look at this real quick. Oh, can't put that up because I got to take a video down, take down the Mondani video, and then it should be good right here.
Woke, but I don't find the quarter zip shit funny, because I also didn't find it funny a couple years ago when all those black men put on suits and then stood around in suits. I don't understand what men in general, but especially black men's obsession is with defining themselves by their clothing and not really actively doing any. It's not deeper than just like, well, we can put on suits. I can also put on a suit. What is the point that you're trying to make here? Like, it's like costume. Like, let's dress up as the social idea of success or productivity or decent, productive human being. I don't know. I don't even understand what y'all are trying to communicate to us. Y'all are constantly, like, essentially dressing up as white men. Like, that's kind of the underlying idea. Suits, quarter zips, like associating yourself with this, like, stereotypically white style. Hello? Do y'all not see how that's one, offensive to you as a black person, upholds white supremacy, but is also reductive of your like humanness? I don't know. It's like everything all the time with them. Nothing latches.
Right. um so that goes back into what I said before, that if you want to just make people angry, just show them a video of black men minding their business, and then people start making think pieces and going directly off. So you have the whole thing of young black dudes directly out here moved on from the Nike tech, was like, all right, let's start, cleaning up the image. And like I said, even if it was like some type of a fad or whatnot, I felt like it was positive. Right? They were like, hey, we want to sit up there and actually like clean up. We want to dress up, right? And that's what a lot of people stated, right? Didn't people say like, hey, we want these young men out here to start wearing belts. We don't want them sagging their jeans and this, that, and the third, and always wearing these hoodies. So the moment in time that they actually switch up their look, here comes somebody to sit up there and try to clown it. Crazy work. You can't, like I said, when you actually want to change, you changing makes other people uncomfortable. And because you make them uncomfortable, this is when people want to start coming out of pocket and saying stuff that they don't got no business saying. And then she wanted to harken back to back during the pandemic and a little bit afterwards, where it was a whole thing where you had black men, black fathers, and their sons, and they were out there, let's say, doing brunches or meetings or whatnot, whatever, and they showcased who it is that they are, and they were all taking pictures. Again, because that made people uncomfortable, and that's not what they're used to seeing. People wanted to get online like her, and they want to consider it and call it an issue. It's like, oh, look at these black men. You guys ain't doing nothing. What are you guys building? And what are you guys doing for the black community? And rah, 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 rah. And what you guys really need to be doing. I'm like, you can't even just try to do something a little bit different without somebody wanting to just run their mouth. And she said that that young black men doing this is reductive, and that it's harmful to themselves, to the image of them, and that they're feeding into white supremacy, because at the end of the day, all they're doing is dressing as a white man. Like what? Like where are we at this moment in time? Like you're not like, it's crazy to say that, knowing the fact that this is not your hair. You more than likely got a whole wig on, and it's two-toned. That blonde is not your actual hair, but yet that's exactly what you got on. So that's not reductive. That's not feeding into white supremacy. That's not feeding into a beauty standard that doesn't match up with who it is that you are as a black woman. Like it is crazy when folks out here want to sit up there and start speaking. So young black dudes out here, we're doing something that we wanted them to do as a black community. This is something that we wanted them to do, because we didn't want them to still be dressing like a lot of the previous dudes from like the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, and switch it up, look different, right? Positive outlook, all this other type of stuff, and rah, rah, rah. In the moment in time that they do it, this is the energy that they get, negative. That's crazy. So I understand why this was something that folks did not keep up with, because it's like, why am I going to sit up there and change if people don't want me to change? If this is all people see me as and want me to be, I'm just going to stay as that. I'm going to give them exactly what it is that they want, because this is what you deserve. If this is all you see in me, this is all you're going to sit up there and get. And I keep trying to tell people. So it goes back to what I said in the very first part of the live stream, that if you got a lot of folks directly out here and they keep blaming black men on the reason why it is that black women are losing these elections, you're going to really get what it is that you're looking for. If you think that you're losing now, you're going to really sit up there and lose when black dudes are just like, yo, I ain't voting no more. We just went 100% quit. Now you're just getting 5% of black men out there voting, 10% out of the whole population of the United States. Like I said, if people keep speaking to the universe that all you want is the negative, this is all you basically see, that is exactly what it is that you are going to sit up there and get. Like, there's no other way I can sit up there and tell people. That's crazy. Like I said, a lot of the stuff out here, like it's It's tiring. It's tiring, man. It's 100% tiring. Somebody said, "You Americans are so racist. Everything has to be black or white. Pathetic." Um, this is when it gets to the point where I'm just like a little bit like tired. And actually, it's not even my apologies because I don't even care at this moment in time. For those out there that pull up to the scene and say that America is racist, go fuck yourself. Like I said, it gets to a point in time where you just get tired because you try to make sense of stuff for a lot of people, and you realize, like, this person here. Let me just bring up a solo screen so I can just highlight this. So, like, that person right here, more than likely, again, you say you Americans, again, you're not even from here, so I'm not even sure why you're even so concerned about what's going on in America, right? But you can go fuck yourself, because realistically, wherever it is that you are, there's a type of discriminatory behavior that goes on. If you're African, I can just sit up there and point to South Africa. If you're from the islands, I can point to the fact of how it is Asians and Dominicans and all this other type of stuff. People want to treat each other, or go to the furthest point of people not liking their blackness to the point where they want to commit to skin bleaching and skin creams and all of these different types of soap to wash away that blackness so that they're now white. So now they have no melanin. So now they are the purest versions of themselves because they're indoctrinated to believe a certain type of thing. If you're Spanish, is the exact same thing. Latin is the exact same thing. If you're Asian, it's the exact same thing. Because South Korea, they sit up there and use all types of soaps, bleaching creams. They do blackface. If you're in the UK, you guys would be funny. So funny. Like I said, that's the best that I got for you, because it's very tiring. It's very tiring when people that are grown adults don't want to take the initiative to educate themselves about the United States, and the history in the United States, and why everything is so quote unquote black and white. It's very is the correct terminology reductive to the conversation? I don't know, but um if people would actually decide to educate themselves, then the things that they go out and say in comment sections and online would not be the exact same thing. They would actually be smarter than the average bear. But it seems as though that people don't want the responsibility of actually educate themselves and finding the proper information so that they can conduct themselves better in a conversation. So you guys decide to just do this. Now, if I, as a Black American, wanted to specifically state that America's racist, I can say that because I know the history. I've lived within the United States, born and raised here in the United States, went through the whole of the school system, dealt directly with the police in multiple states. Again, they don't know my name. I ain't never been arrested, but again, it's how the police conduct themselves whenever it is that they just so happen to see me. And I wasn't sitting up there moving crazy out here. I wasn't doing nothing wrong, but going to and from, what it was that I was supposed to sit up there and do again, minding my own business. Or, even the fact of walking by a vehicle, not even close to it, and looking at a white woman, I can hear the car doors lock. And I'm like, aren't you in your vehicle? You've been in your vehicle since before I came up this street, but the moment in time that you now notice me, cloop, now you want to sit up there and lock the doors. Interesting. But people are like, oh no, you're just thinking too much of it. Maybe that person just forgot and just remembered at that time, coincidentally, when you were walking down the street, that's the time that it happened. But it specifically, it doesn't have anything to do with race. Like I said, a lot of y'all are funny. A lot of y'all are funny, and it's crazy how a lot of y'all other folks want to call out America so quick, but yet y'all are running here to be here. That's the wildest thing. That is the wildest thing. I'm highly confused about that. It's crazy to hear a lot of these folks talking about, oh, why is America like this and da 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 da. But yet you got your family or friends or neighbors or coworkers that basically ran here, abandoned family. They were sitting up there running over people's shoulders and heads just to try to jump on a boat or a plane, just to get directly up over here. That's wild. That's 100% wild. Wild work, but you know it'd be like that. That is wild. Let me see. I'm a little bit confused. Somebody said, "Take care of the black on black crime." How about this one? Who was that? Ken Carruthers. How about the shout out? Let me just to one of the white men, because I know how people are going to get. It's like, oh, here we go with a black man sitting up there praising a white man, like always praising. Shout out to Tim Tebow, because that is a white man that is actually out here beyond anybody else that is doing something that I don't see other people sitting up here doing. He literally shifted gears in his career and was like, I'm done with football. Let me go out here and protect these kids as a white man. Let me go out here and specifically tell the fact that white men primarily are the ones that are conducting themselves and when it deals with acts against family and children. Let me go directly in front of our government and give them the information, showcasing the fact of what it is that white men are out here doing in these on these internet streets. Like I said, there's tons of videos out here dealing with Roblox. And you know the funniest thing, because did I highlight the person? Yeah, I did highlight Ken, because Ken wanted to, be directly up there. Sham said that she got rid of Ken. No problem. I'm gonna leave him up there as a clear-cut example. Because the craziest part is whenever these conversations with Roblox come up, I don't see black men in those conversations. Why is that? Why is it that I always see white men in those conversations dealing with Roblox, having conversations with kids? That's a little bit crazy. But magically, everybody want to sit up there and talk about some stuff that they don't really care about. Oh, y'all need to sit up there and worry about this black on black crime directly in these communities. You mean crime within proximity? Crime within proximity? Isn't that what should be listed? I'm just trying to figure out. Because that's a little bit wild to me. Like I said, to all of the white folks out there that always got something to sit up there and say about black folks, how many of your fathers, right? Because y'all want to talk about the criminal minds of black men directly out here. Got to be scared of the black men, right? Got to watch your backs with the blacks, right? That's what y'all like to say online, right? But I'll never see y'all giving warnings to y'all kids out here about white men going after your kids and your families. I done cover videos of police officers, doctors, your mayors, your senators, your nurses, your pediatricians, your daycare providers, your firefighters, EMS workers. There's pretty much Silicon Valley. There is not an area that I have not touched where you guys aren't touching kids. But you got the gall and the audacity as white men to pull up on the scene and act as though that you are better than thou. It's completely cool. Fine, no problem, right? You want to say that as a black man, I'm part of the the 14% doing 50% of the crimes out here in the United States. Fine, I'll sit up there and deal with that. I'll hold that one proudly. I would rather be within that situation versus going after kids. How about that one? Because that's the craziest part. Because while y'all sitting up here talking and y'all being online coming at me, somebody needs to do some forensic searching directly on your browsing history, directly on your cell phones. Because it's crazy to me that y'all can literally have a whole family and a whole wife, but yet your main mind frame is like, yo, let me go sit up there and like look at these little girls out here. Let me go sit at a playground and start watching these kids. Huh? That's wild. Or matter of fact, y'all will sit up there and jump on podcast. What? Do I have that video here? Do I actually have that video? There was two white dudes on a podcast basically stating how attractive basically a minor is, or how it is that their bodies will react when they're holding a child for the first time. And I'm like, that's the weirdest conversation. That was two white men. I'm like, that's the weirdest conversation to have, to sit up there and say that you have some type of an arousal as a white male when you hold your child. Police, anybody, FBI, CIA, Interpol, somebody. Like, what's happening here? But yet y'all want to pull up to the scene. Y'all want to pull up to the scene and always make black men an issue. Because you don't want to deal with who the real villain is. You don't want to deal with who the real issue is. You don't want to deal with who the real problem is. Like I said, that's why y'all don't want to deal with these Epstein files. White community, because primarily it is y'all. 99.9%. This is y'all. That's the reason that y'all not losing y'all minds. That's the reason that y'all not sitting up here like, oh, we're about to march in the streets. We're about to hold up signs. We're about to do this. We're about to do. Yeah, because y'all don't really care, because you know that if you care too much, it's going to highlight and showcase that you guys are problematic and you guys are the real problem. Y'all the ones sitting up there doing, orchestrating all of this satanic stuff. Y'all the ones sitting up there sacrificing to Baal, to Moloch, to Gog, and all of these other types of pagan deities and whatnot, whatever, doing these blood sacrifices and whatnot, whatever. Like, y'all the ones doing it. It's not us. But somehow, some way, you guys make black men the problem. Y'all got too many issues. Ooh, that's some wild work. This man said fighting racism or racism. For anybody that's here currently at this moment in time. So basically, I'm racist because I stated that within the white community, there is a very high problem at the rate of 70-something odd percent of white males predominantly going directly after the family and children. I'm racist because I'm pointing that out. Wow. Oh boy. Somebody check that browsing history on that guy. That's crazy. That's I've never heard that before. I'm a racist because, like, the craziest part is, while I'm stating what it is that I'm stating, you being on the other end had two choices. You could either ignore it, or then you can attack the problem. You didn't want to do any of those two, so you created a third option, which is basically say that I'm racist for pointing out a situation that you should really find to be problematic and actually want to be proactive like Tim Tebow and want to be, do something about. But that's not what you want to do. Because you, like I told people before, y'all don't really care about the kids. This is why y'all sacrificing kids directly out here. This is why there's a such thing as adrenochrome. This is why I've done a video before where you had, I think, what was it, like 800,000 kids missing in 1 year. This is why there are countless sting operations across these United States where kids are being found and people don't know where these kids came from. But yet, when I happen to talk about these things and I bring these things directly up, y'all want to say that I'm racist. This is what I'm talking about. This is why these Epstein files don't even matter. And matter of fact, let me put it to a better example, right? Because the craziest part about dealing with those Epstein files, the reason, again, that nothing has happened is because black people are not at the forefront. And it's not because black people don't care. Technically, we don't. Right. And it's for this very specific reason, before people blow their minds like, oh, my God, y'all don't care about the Epstein files. No. Black people don't care about the Epstein files because this is something that we've always known that white people were capable of, because white people were always cannibalizing and going directly after black people, turning them into shoes, turning them into lampshades, turning them into books, using our bones, directly for jewelry, using our hair to sit up there and shaving off our hair and putting it directly into their couches and their cushions, feeding black people to alligators and using them as alligator bait and doing all of this other type of stuff. Like I said, this is why we have books directly out there. So in a sense, black people don't really care because we've been going through this. We have a history of understanding this. So it's not shocking to us. It's shocking to everybody else because this is not your history. This is not known history, well-documented history. And the craziest part is black people weren't the ones that documented this history. It was white people that documented the history on the atrocities, the horrendous things that they decided to go out there and do to black people. But, like people like to say, you're racist. Says you're racist. You blacks, you guys are racist. You guys always talk about race. Why don't you blacks, ever talk about the black on black crime? You're 13% of the population, but you do a trillion% of the crime. Like, just 3 days ago, 4 billion people just died in Chicago in 5 seconds. Why don't you blacks talk about that? Talk about that incredible loss of life. Why don't we talk about the loss of life with all of these wars that white people seem to create and always be a part of? When was the last time that the United States of America was ever at peace? Didn't somebody basically say that out of all the time that that America has basically been existing as a nation, that I think we had about 16, maybe 17 years of something peace, but all the rest of the time we were pretty much at war? That seems to be a little bit odd, don't you think? That the most freest land, a first world country, is always at war, or always seeking war, always starting war, or always sticking their nose in other people's business. What do you think that the toll of loss of life would actually be if we were to add that up? Now, I understand that white people are going to get offended by that, because they're going to be like, well, you're not actually an American. You don't actually care about America and defending. There's a lot of, ugly things that we got to do in order to keep America free, and this, that, and the third, and all these. You're right. So we are the main country that decide to send our kids, our families, directly over to commit all different types of atrocities in other countries. And then we reward them with money and with medals. But yet, if we wanted to do that, why didn't we just pull out all of the killers and the murderers that we have in our jails and prisons? We literally have people that are in prison and jail right now that just got locked up within this last month that you can easily put into the military and train. If you really wanted to get some active killers, some people that are directly out there that are not doing anything good, and you wanted them to have a redemption arc, why don't you pull out people from the jails and prisons instead of sacrificing people's families, their wives, their husbands, their sons, their daughters, and their grandsons and daughters? Instead of sacrificing them and turning them into quote unquote bloodthirsty killers, why don't you actually get the real bloodthirsty killers that we have on American soil? Or maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm taking it a tad too far, right? Maybe it's just me. But it like I said, it's very funny how dealing with America, you want to take the most innocent people and you want to turn them into killers, but then you want to take the killers and you want to turn them into average citizens. That just doesn't make any type of sense. If you have somebody that is innocent, leave them as innocent and let them progress through life like that. If you have somebody that's a murderer, then you might as well award them for being a murderer, because you're already doing it if you put them in jail and prison and giving them a life sentence of 50 to 80 years. Why do that? Why not just sit up there and have them sign their life away like every other citizen does? And they're doing the bidding of the United States government and they're getting paid for it. They're getting, all square meals. They're able to go abroad. They're able to do this, able to do that, and they're going to follow orders. Why not just sit up there and do that? Right? But no. That's not what people want to sit up there and do. People don't want to sit up there and do that at all. And again, for the white folks out there, y'all always want to pull up to black live streams and channels, and y'all want to proceed to pull up to the scene and try to tell black people what it is and what's happening, when really you are the actual topic of conversation. You just want to move the goalpost. You want to scapegoat. You want to put something else in front. And as stated before, ain't nothing really popping off. Like I said, what happened to Minnesota? Didn't y'all, white people, lose like 2 people and y'all didn't like really bust a grape? Y'all didn't do nothing. Those people just sacrificed their lives and the white community did not move. Y'all didn't do nothing. Oh, that's right. In order for movements to actually take hold and for anything to happen, black people have to be there front and center. But oh, wait, I forgot. When black people are there front and center, this is when bad actors tend to show up, aka government agents or undercover cops, and they proceed to start a ruckus, because all you need amongst a bunch of hay is one match to start a fire. And that's what happens in a lot of these times when you have these peaceful protests. Even though we've tried to point this out, I've tried to point this out a multitude of times on my platform, even while doing live streams. Nobody wanted to sit up and listen. Nobody wanted to pay attention. So here we are. Here we are. So the moment in time that we actually leave the responsibility to white people, y'all don't do nothing. The responsibility when it dealt with the Epstein files is directly on white people. And what have y'all done with any of this information? Nothing. Who have y'all gotten directly out of office? Nobody. What kids have y'all found yet? Nothing. Zero. Nada. Y'all can't even find bones. You can't even find ashes. You can't even find dust. You're still running directly in circles asking for the names when you clearly know who is a part of it. You're voting for them every single day, but you're still not doing nothing. But y'all sit up there and say, oh, we love this country. We're here for this country. We built this country. If you love this country, you built this country, you started this country, you also started everything that has to do with the Epstein files. And you also have to sit up there and take acknowledgement and responsibility of that same thing of which you orchestrated. Because you can't sit up there and put this on a black man, because that's the main story that you always love doing. Oh, it's the black man's fault. The black man did this crime directly over here. Look what happened to this poor white woman from over there in Europe. Look what happened to her. We're gonna make her into a martyr. We're gonna poster, her face in these paintings all throughout the United States, so people will never forget. People will always remember as if this is 9/11. But yet y'all the same folks that sit up there and tell black people that slavery was so long ago, and we need to sit up there and forget about it. We need to sit up there and forget about everything dealing with the KKK and all this other type of stuff where you guys wanted to roll through with the pale horse through our communities. Y'all wanted to burn things down, pull out tiki torches and all this other type of stuff. Y'all wanted to sit up there and forget the fact that y'all wanted to restart that whole organization, but y'all just wanted to go to Banana Republic. Y'all wanted to get some nice casual shorts with some khaki shorts, with some loafers, with some tiki torches, and y'all wanted to try to start a newer version directly of that because y'all told us, hey, forget the past. But when we forget the past, the same thing of the past will happen directly in the future. It'll just be under a whole another different type of branding, but still continue. But then y'all want to make it seem like, oh, black folks is crazy when we happen to bring this directly up and we happen to show proof. But no, we the crazy ones. It's crazy out here. The main country that, like I told y'all before, these are the main folks that sit up there and say that they are the most religious and that in God we trust. And I keep asking y'all, when y'all open up your wallet and you look at that money, what God are white people talking about? A multitude of times throughout a lot of these live streams that I've done, I've given y'all information on different pagan gods that people have decided to sacrifice their kids directly to, that people went out there and set up there and worshiped. Nobody to this day can sit up there and tell you what God the United States government actually believes in. But yeah, we still follow everything that the United States does and what it is that they do. Pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, unto the republic on which it stands, one nation, under God. But what God? What God? Because there's a multitude of gods directly out here. Now, again, I'm not, saying this for the Christians or the Baptists or the Catholics to start writing Bible verses like, oh, there's only one God direct. Again, what God are we talking about? Because when I look at a lot of these countries and a lot of the abhorrent things that take place and happening, I'm trying to figure out where is the supposed God at, especially dealing with these kids. Because all of these prayers that people have been doing over the years, I don't think that your prayers are getting through. And I don't think a lot of y'all are receiving answers, because it seems as though that the most innocent amongst us, meaning the kids, are the ones going through some of the most horrendous things and always ending up missing. But yet some of the most horrible people are the only ones that seemingly are getting their prayers answered by longevity, by life, by money, by fame, by celebrity, by any type of power. So I'm just a little bit confused. Again, I just simply ask a question: what God? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Everybody's doing all of this praying. Everybody in America has been told to pray to God, pray to God, pray to. Which God are you praying to? How do you know you're praying to the right person? Because I only see evil prevailing. That's all I'm saying. And like I said before, this is not me trying to get preachy. This ain't me trying to get religious. If you're like atheist or whatnot, whatever, like I say, I ain't trying to turn people into whatever religion. And like I said, it ain't for none of that. I don't really care about the Bible debates or who knows the most of a book and all. I don't even care about that. To each their own. All I'm sitting up there saying is I'm just trying to figure out what God is everybody praying to, because I only see one side winning. That's all I'm saying. Like I said, there's a lot of people that got murdered and killed. They're in the grave. But the people that did the murder and killing, they're locked up and they're getting 3 to 4 square meals a day. They were in jails and prisons playing the newest PlayStation 5, soon enough the PS6. They got Switch 2s. They got Xbox Series X's in there. They got full-on internet and Wi-Fi going throughout there. They got the newest iPhone. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, somebody has to make it make sense directly to me, because it's not making sense. Like, the most horrible people are the ones sitting up there winning, while those who don't do nothing to nobody out here are consistently losing, and we seeing them in morgues. We're seeing them in graves. Matter of fact, I'm sorry, you're not even seeing them in graves anymore, because we're not even building graves. So where are those bodies? Anyways, I'm not even trying to go there right now. Man, I'm tired. I'm tired. Think I'm just tired. Think I'm just tired. Think I am just tired. Like I said, this is why, I told people before that I have an understanding why people just do content where it just delves with men versus women and all this other type of stuff. I get it. You don't really got to put no brain power in it. If you got the emotions to just go through and just manage with it, hey, that's all you need. You don't really got to speak logic or any type of wisdom in those conversations. It'll just be what it be. And you can just do it every single day. Because trust me, going on TikTok, I've watched a variety of folks directly out here who have very large platforms. And like I said, kudos to them for building up a very large platform. Like I said, no hate directly over here. But what I'm saying is that I've noticed what it is, and I think, well, I know he's probably not here. One of the brothers, Jay Black, he pulled up to one of the videos that I did recently, and his name is something different now, but he pulled up to one of the videos and he stated that the main content that people will fixate or attach themselves directly to, is men versus women and all this other type of stuff, which is true. Because like I told y'all before, and I was telling y'all, just as an experiment thing, so y'all can go out there and see for yourselves. If you look at the live stream section on TikTok, you will see the exact same tired, reiterated, restarted conversations, just worded differently on the prompt. You'll see the exact same conversations. Like, I saw one woman running the exact same conversation for like a week straight. And I'm like, so there's nothing else to talk about? Like, everything is just going to be like, should whatnot or whatever be allowed to date or whatnot? I'm like, this at this point is basically you're running the same topic. It's brain rot at this moment. There's nothing that anybody can add to the conversation. It's just regurgitated. Just people just going to be in their feelings. And that's what happens every single time when those conversations start. It's a whole bunch of men and women directly in their feelings. Nobody's really, in a sense, speaking, using critical thinking. Nobody's, really pulling up to the scene being logical. It's just all emotion based. And it's not there specifically to make a solution, to fix a broken situation. It's just to keep that current situation going so that people can profit and make money. Like I said, ain't no hate directly over here. I'm just saying that when you deal with these social media spaces, people got to be conscious of the content directly out there that they decide to sit up there and consume. And you got to figure out to what end, is this content? Like, what is it specifically trying to do? What is the end goal of that creator? What are they specifically trying to get to at their core? Like I said, I've made it pretty much clear for a lot of the videos that I do. what's the main reason behind all of the topics that I've talked directly about, or even if I stay fixated on something for a point in time, I've specified in a variety of videos why it is, so that people aren't blindsided, so that people aren't confused, and all this other type of stuff. But like I said, I don't know. Like I said, I've been on this landscape for a very long time, and just as often as I can sit up there and say that the adults don't care about the kids, a lot of people, in a sense, don't care about content that they consume, every single day. And like I said, I tell people to, take breaks. Even if that means you gotta take breaks from my content, it be like that. You gotta worry about your health. You gotta worry about your sanity, all that other, type of stuff. I don't know. I don't know. Do not know. Mm-mm-mm. Brother Sly was like, I'm so used to modding. I tried to block a troll. That's crazy. Yo, that's crazy. What was it? J7 said left with the quickness. Let me see. Sonny said they don't care. They're modern day trash people who are the problem in the world, agents of chaos. Sham said, I ain't seen a campaign yet saying we're going to get rid of the Geppettos and the Cannibales. Just like I gotta get myself just like used to mispronouncing words and whatnot. This is another thing as well too. Something that I do want to highlight just to let people know, just in case they may not know anything about, and this is specifically dealing with TikTok. Let me see if I can find the young woman's video real quick, because she brought up a very great point that I don't think a lot of people paid attention. Okay, here we go. Let me just look at it. Oh, wait. Ooh. I just thought about that. I can't play that video because let me just do this.
Let me tell y'all how deep it is, and this is why I say it's not a subject that I even play around with. Okay.
Right. So I'm just gonna pause it right there. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna turn off the sound just in case, right? Because there were some words used, and of course people would try to sit up there and get you on some stuff, right? So this woman said a black woman is shocked that TikTok banned creators from saying white people instead of, they must spell it YT, but they can say the N-word, and black. So yes, it's always that deep, right? So basically within the context of this conversation, the woman here was basically explaining that when it deals with TikTok, if you decide to say white, like I said, for whatever reason, TikTok is the only platform where there's a variety of words that are basic and everyday, where if you say them directly on TikTok, the video is muted, or that part is edited out, or that video is automatically getting taken down, or or whatnot, or whatever. Like there's always an issue. There's always a problem. When it specifically deals with that. But yet, if you want to say other words that have nothing to do with white people, you're free to say it. It's completely fine and dandy. I think I've even mentioned and talked about it as well. That's one of the other reasons that I have not done TikTok lives in a minute. I think it's probably been like a year or two since I've been like, maybe more than that. Since I've actually been live directly on TikTok. I've thought about it a little bit, technically, going live directly over there, having some conversations, but I would have to really, really educate myself and sit down on, how a lot of stuff works, especially with the different. I would probably have to just look up a list of words that just cannot be said, just to, try to cover the bases. But then, the whole problem with that is that you would have to also educate other people. So, let's say if I happen to do a TikTok live and I want some of y'all to, come directly up to be a part of a conversation, I would have to then, also, pass the information, educate you, directly on, what it is that we can say and can't say and all this other. Like I said, I feel like it's too much. It's way too much, and I'm like, it's crazy, but but probably at one of these moments in times, I'll decide to do it. Sham said, YouTube, TikTok, Google, protecting them folks big time. Brother Sly said, I spell it WIGHT. Yo, that's funny. That's funny. That's funny. Was it J7 said, and those are the same folks that be indulging in the zoophilia? Yeah. I've talked about that as well too. I've talked about that. Wait. You said Mo said don't forget about lunch. Wait, lunch in here, yo. What's up? Where you at? Oh, snap, my bad. Yo, much love, respect, and appreciation to lunch for the $15 donate to the channel. Said fully agree with what you are saying, brother. My apology, lunch. I got completely in tunnel vision. So my apologies. I'm so sorry. I got completely in tunnel vision. When I was going through, the whole thing there. Shout out to Mo for pointing that out for me, because like I said, I get tunnel vision a lot, and I'm just locked in. Get tunnel vision quite a bit. So my apologies. Shout out to lunch for the $15 dono, and also shout out again to brother Brandon V World for the $5 dono. Much love, respect, and appreciation. Les said the only reason why they haven't shut down social media is because Trump loves social media. I mean, I guess you could say that, but the real reason, well, I'm not going to say the real reason. One reason I theorize why they haven't really shut down social media is because it's easier for them to track people, right? So let me put it to you like this, right? If the United States government wanted to make a list on the people that they feel have issues with the United States government, and we didn't have social media, it'd be very difficult for them to do. But if they have social media, they allow quote unquote freedom of speech on a lot of these platforms, then they can easily point out a lot of these people and basically get to a moment in time when they'll be like, yo, we got a lot of negative sentiments about the United States and the government and how people feel about it, so we're going to label them as a terrorist group. They can't really specify a group, but they could easily classify and be like, yo, people who think like this are basically a part of this terrorist type of group within the United States. Then they can then try to say that, oh, these are sleeper cells and these are the real like I said, it can go pretty quick and it can become very, very problematic. But from my point of view, that's one of the main reasons that the internet is not specifically really monitored. Now, I do have videos directly out there where other individuals that have other affiliations have specifically stated that the United States government needs to get control of the internet, and they need to specifically get rid of freedom of speech when it deals with the internet and how it is that people are able to speak. And for me, I find that to be problematic. And I said before, even if somebody hates me and doesn't like me, they got the right to sit up there and say, you don't say it at me, but you got the right to express yourself directly online. Like I said, I can just choose to ignore it. I don't have to engage directly in it. I can just look over it because it's whatever it is and focus on something else. But the moment in time, like I told people before, that you got the government stepping in and basically stating what is best for you, you've already lost. This is why I told people before, the trial run that they did when the government was like, hey, we're going to tell you what it is that you can and can't get directly with, the food stamps. And people just pretty much went directly with it or however it basically worked out. I'm like, yeah, people don't see what's happening here. I'm like, really? I'm like, just like me and Mo, he would always write in the comment section, main running joke is bring on Skynet. That's the point I'm at right now. because I'm tired. Bring on the 15-minute cities. If you don't know what a 15-minute city is, go type it in. Go look up some stuff over there in the UK. I think should have been in like an Oxford area or whatnot or whatever, some article that I was reading. Go look up 15-minute. Matter of fact, they got them over there, I think, in China, whatever. 15-minute cities, hypermarkets. Go look up the Fed now. Go look up 2.0 cities. Go look up the digital ID. Go look up I think it was some type of brand new biometric scanning. There was a type of tech TED talk about a pill or whatever that people can basically take where it would show that people complied, a compliance type of pill or whatnot or whatever, that will show that people took the medication that whoever or whatever specifically told them to take. And like I said, a lot of this stuff is intertwined and directly linked. And like I said, people not going to understand what it is that they have until it's gone. So the moment in time that people are made to live above where it is that they work, and everything is within like a 15-minute run, so that means like your market, that means your gym and all this other type of stuff, right? People are not going to understand what's happening. Like I said, try to tell people about all of these highways and stuff getting reworked so that everything is pretty much a circle, so that you can't really, if anything happens, they know where it is that you're going to be able to drive to and can't drive to. They've cut off a lot of that stuff directly over the years. If you look at a map of these highways throughout a lot of cities, same thing with electric cars and how it is that these companies out here would be able to have the power to shut them off. Like I said, if anybody saw Elon's tech, aka those the Teslas, he has the ability to be like, all right, well, you did whatever to our car. Oh, we cutting it off. You're not going to be able to drive it no more. So whatever money you pay for, you can't drive it. Why? Because they got a computer chip and somebody else actually has ownership and priority over your own vehicle. Any of the other cars that you got, they got a computer chip. Any of these other companies could decide to go out there and do that as well. This is another reason why they're trying to make it illegal or make it as very difficult as possible to have a lot of the standard issue older cars still on the road, because any cars that are on the road are cars that they're going to be able to have control over because they have a computer chip. So just like when I gave you all the videos before talking about OnStar and how it is that if a police chase happened or whatnot, whatever, the company can just come in and cut off the car. And I said that was a problem. Now we're living in a time frame where pretty much every car that people drive has a computer chip directly in it, and it has a kill switch. So, I mean, you can take that as far as you want to take it. Your cell phones more than likely got a type of kill switch as well too. You just don't know about it. They got all types of backdoors that allow governments and whatever entities directly, within it. If you don't believe me, go look up, different files online that talk about a variety. Like I said, it's a lot, man. Just bring on the 15-minute cities. Bring on Skynet is inevitable. Yep. That is facts. That is complete facts. Yo, Rabbit, what is up? You said a quick reminder. You said white people ate the dodo into extinction, and that the Galapagos turtle became endangered is because the white pirates wouldn't stop eating them. It's crazy. It's diabolical. Sham say, you notice people who take social media for granted as communication have trouble operating in real life. Yeah, that's true. Yep. Pyramid say, you notice how people who are always online are also socially awkward. Yeah. Somebody said, this guy is babbling. LOL. I mean, obviously showing your age, I wouldn't be too shocked from somebody that has Tom from MySpace, the first friend that everybody had. I'm not too surprised. I know what generation you're directly from. I know you're older than me, but as stated before, I'm babbling, but are you actually hearing what's being said? Because like I said, the craziest part is talk about those Epstein files, and I mentioned that, and magically it got real silent. folks like you wasn't trying to say nothing, but or you did and you try to just move the conversation somewhere else. But now when I'm talking about stuff that anybody else could look up, like I put it to you like this: anything that people wanted to list from the last like 20 to 30 years, where quote unquote conspiracy theorists, the crazy people out there. When you got people that work for the United States government that basically said that the conspiracy theorists are right pretty much about everything, it's not babbling anymore. It's just the fact that y'all don't want to sit up there and listen because y'all would y'all would rather stay in the comfortability and a lie versus live directly in the truth. That's the problem with a lot of folks out there. And also dealing with the Epstein files, people would rather die and live in ignorance versus going directly into that truth and trying to fix that situation and make sure that it's the first and last time that it ever happens. Like I said, too many people would rather live a lie. This is why the government is still the same. This is why everybody's still paying taxes. This is why everything is still happening the way it's still happening. This is why jobs are still getting outsourced. This is why these billion or trillion dollar companies are able to get tax refunds that are hundreds of millions or billions of dollars. And then when you want to do your taxes and get your refund, what you get like what, 2, 3, maybe $400 or $500. But then you got H&R Block taking what, 300 directly from that. So you pretty much don't get anything. And then you got to pretty much work the rest of your life for what? When's your retirement? If you're going to have retirement, when's your Social Security? If you're going to even have that, what about your IRA and all these other types of things? Matter of fact, what about people even owning homes at this moment in time? America is a corporation, and America will sell off parts of that corporation in order to benefit itself. Everything in America is up for sale, including you and me. But I'm babbling though. But yet you can see over the last 20 to 30 years what America's been doing to itself. It's crazy. It's diabolical. And it's crazy where people want to start trying to have me talk about, all these other types of things that they worried about, but yet you come through on some type of fake profile with no actual name, with no actual picture. You probably just started that profile within like the last 5 years, troll account, and you want somebody to start talking about what you deem to be important, which is crazy to me. 100%. So you would rather talks happen about a conflict versus the information that is out there and readily accessible that people could actually digest and actually understand and see and actually acknowledge. You would rather people forego that information and be like, let's just focus. Let's focus directly on something else. What if the conflict was basically started because a lot of this information has come out and there's other information being hidden that they don't want people to pay attention to? What if you're one of the operatives that want people to focus on a conflict versus focusing on stuff going on at home in the United States? Better yet, if you actually cared about the conflict that was going on, you would actually use the YouTube channel that you're talking directly from within this comment section, and you would make videos directly on that. But yet, 9 times to 10 times out of 10, the people that come here, they don't even have a channel. They just got a name, and it'll just say that the profile's been there for about 5 or 6 years. That's some wild work. That's crazy to me. But yet y'all say that whatever topic you bring up is more important than what it is that I'm talking about. If you actually cared about it that much, you would have been talking about it, and you wouldn't actually be here. You wouldn't be talking in my comment section. You wouldn't be leaving 4 to 5 different messages directly up there trying to get my attention and to have me talk about it. That's crazy. Wild work. It'd be like that though. Do. It says that black women are shocked that TikTok banned creators from saying white people. Instead, they must spell it YT, but can't say other words and black. So yes, it's always that deep. No problem. No problem. No problem. No problem. Affliction, affectionate. What is up? What is up? What is up? I said affliction. I'm thinking about playing Towerborn. My bad. Sham said the crazy part is that the Geppettos are picking fights with the other folks and they targeting that area for a reason. Yeah. That's one thing I knew about. Well, I'm not going to say that I knew. That's one thing that I understood from watching and reading about a lot of things, right? Everything is for a reason. Things happen for a reason. Things don't just happen for, random occurrences. But yeah, like I said, whenever hey, what is up there? Tippy. Tippy is late as usual. Let me tell you something. Gotta get on Tippy on purpose because she was up there like, yo, it's amazing how you went live and you didn't sit up there and let me know you went live. I thought you got the notification, Tippy. Because she said that to me last time. Sham said you missed all the racist trolls. Yeah, they were here earlier. They were here earlier, and I probably missed out on. I said that twice, but maybe I missed out on quite a few of them because I had tunnel vision. Tippy up there laughing. Yeah, because you know what I'm talking about, Tippy. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Um, let me see. Tree said, "Is that Jasmine Crockett?" Huh? That don't look nothing like that. Looks nothing like Jasmine Crockett. Those are two different what's the names? Natasha said Geppettos is crazy. You gotta say stuff differently. Again, I'm trying to prepare myself to at any moment in time, happen to, pop up on TikTok. So I gotta get my words, a little bit different. That's what I've been trying to do over the years. So that's why people always talk about, oh, you mispronounced this word and you say this instead of that. You don't say how it's actually pronounced. Yeah, because for the best way I could put it is like when you black, you gotta try to reword a lot of stuff, in order just to get messages directly through. Like you can't you can't just like come out and just say stuff like, it's crazy out here. It is crazy. It's crazy. Um, let me see. You said no. Sham said no, that's not her. It's crazy how it fits though. I mean, yeah. Yeah. That's another reason why I find that one that word technically to be, a little bit funnier. And then also going back to Disney and a lot of the things, dealing with both the Disney cartoons and also dealing with the kids who were Disney stars. Like I said, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. It goes direct. Oh, you know what the funny thing is? I forgot to mention. So there is another story out there that people don't know anything about. People can look up Oracle and specifically what that company is and what that entails and who is running Oracle. When you find out what Oracle owns, it'll be quite amazing. So there's a merger that is going on at this moment in time. I'm not sure if it's complete or slash finalized at this moment in time, or if they maybe still need to work some things out. But there was an article that I went directly over where they said that because of the merger, you will more than likely soon enough in the future, you'll see both Nickelodeon and Cartoon. That's how big this merger is. So for 20, 30 or whatever years, Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network have been completely separate. For me, because, being in Detroit, those channels, Nickelodeon was channel 46, Cartoon Network was channel 47. And then later on, it became, I think, channel, what was it, like 52 or something like that? I forgot what it was. It's been a while since, cable. But because of the merger, Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon will be one channel. So that's going to be brain altering right there. That's going to be some crazy type of work. The lineup of cartoons that they can now have. Oh my God. That'll be insane. Insane. Sham was like, I'm gonna use it. Said yes because I think Pinocchio was referring to the island too. I think somebody might have stated that. I think somebody did say that. I think. Rabbit said, I remember when TikTok was new and discovered to be racist. Black people told other black people to boycott TikTok. That boycott lasted maybe a week before we folded. Yeah. I remember. I remember when people were flooding and they were like, we're going to Red Note. Right. They were going to like this Chinese app, and then the United States government and everybody else came out of nowhere. They were like, oh, you're gonna go over to the communists, you're gonna go over to China, this, that, and the third, and they're taking they're gonna take your information, they're gonna take this. I'm like, but in the United States, I'm like, Verizon been taking information, Sprint been taking information, AT&T been taking information, Yahoo been taking it. All of these companies in America been taking people's information, especially Mark Zuckerberg, aka Facebook, been taking people's information and sitting up there selling it directly to the highest bidder. But you want to try to make the American people fearful of China. This is what I told people before. This is the like when I tell people that you got like this psychological warfare going on, and how it is that people would try to play these mind games to try to fear mock. That's what I be trying to tell people. That stuff literally happened in real time. Where as soon as so many people that's normally on TikTok were freaking out and they were like, yo, we're going to go over to this other app. Almost overnight, the American media just like swapped gears on whatever topic that they were on, and they just started really talking about this, and all of these political pundits or whatnot. They really wanted to start talking about, oh yeah, the American people, they shouldn't go over there because, communist China, this, that. I'm like, y'all ain't really been talking about China for the longest time possible up until now. You feel it's a threat because y'all wanted to do whatever it is that y'all wanted to do with TikTok, and then y'all were threatening people's livelihoods. So now because you don't want to take the blame for what's happening with TikTok, and people are like, hey, we're about to jump ship and go over here. Now y'all, come on. But like I said before, people like, I'm crazy. I'm babbling. I'm a conspiracy theorist. It's amazing how people forget. I don't know what that 2.5 years basically did to people's minds, but it is crazy when you want to have conversations with folks and it's like they just forgot what happened yesterday. Like that is wild. It was not that long ago that people were fearful of what was going on with TikTok. I mean, technically you should still be fearful. Because there's been a lot of movement on TikTok of people being able to, make money. Like people had livelihoods on there. They were doing great. They were doing excellent. But the other thing that's been happening is the same thing that normally happens on a lot of these social media platforms, especially when it deals with TikTok, is that you have a lot of black content creators. They've come out and basically stated that, hey, we're not making the same amount of money. Like we're putting out the content, we're being consistent, even with the engagement and whatnot, whatever, we're not getting the same money as other folks directly on here. And that is problematic because if you're doing the same amount of work, getting the same amount of views and the same people to interact with the content, it doesn't make sense why the pay gap should be different. Right? If it's supposed to be a balanced playing field with people just making digital content, it shouldn't have anything to do with race, but it does. And now, if it comes down to a moment in time that the United States government fully has 100% hold of TikTok, that's going to change, especially a lot of the content that will be allowed, and that'll also change the content that's going to be pushed. So, yeah, Sam was like, the owner of Nickelodeon is a Geppetto. Oh. I gotta remember who that is. Now, are you referring to the dude who worked there, Schneider? I feel like that may be who you're referring to. I feel like that's the person that you may be referring to. And I remember seeing that dude directly in a lot of skits on a lot of shows, Keenan and Kel, the Amanda Bynes show, all that, and maybe some other shows, in between there, making guest appearances and whatnot or whatever. And it's like, it's crazy to find out the stories that are there. I'm like, ooh, that is wild. Like I said, I feel sorry for a lot of those young kids. Like I said, the Disney stars, I feel sorry for them. Nickelodeon stars, I feel sorry for them. Like I said, there's wild stuff out here. Wild stuff. Yo, Gail, what is up? What is going on? What was it? Rabbit said, I think black people failing to boycott TikTok when it was new was a sign black people lost the battle against capitalism. I mean, it'd be like that. That's crazy. This man Mo. That's wild. Shan was like, no, the Schneider dude, he's a part of yeah. That's 100%. Yeah. That's 100%. Gil up here talking about some he. That's some crazy word. That is diabolical. But yeah, like I said, it's crazy. But this is the one thing that I told a lot of folks before. And I have seen some of y'all directly out there on these social media streets. Maybe not so much on TikTok, but I've seen some of y'all directly on on X, going tooth and nail and back and forth with a lot of folks directly out there and putting information out there. Like I said, much love, respect, and appreciation. Like I said, y'all got some up and coming growing platforms, and y'all doing some stuff to try to bring awareness to a lot of folks and educate people. Like I said, much love, because you can't depend on one person to try to sit up there and do it. Everybody got to try to chip in and do something. I'm talking about if you have the time and energy. I ain't talking about for everybody, because a lot of folks don't got time for themselves. Right. So, you can't expect everybody to do something, but you got some out there that do got the time and energy, and every little bit helps and and accounts. So, shout out to y'all. Tippy out here telling people, Tippy like, Gail, you showed up a few minutes after me. That's crazy. That's wild. That's crazy. What is it? Faith said they still burning down Black people progress. Sham said the owner of Nickelodeon is also the owner of Paramount Global, and he has been tied to the files as well. Some crazy work. It's diabolical in nature. But, like I tried to tell you before, there's a lot of information and stuff directly out there, and people just don't seemingly care. Like how they just, again, harken back to the whole thing of the United States government for the longest time possible saying at one point, yeah, UFOs, little green men or gray men are real. But then, it was UFOs don't exist. Going back to the 1947, it was, a reflection of like moonlight casting off of like Venus onto the atmosphere through some smog gas from some swamps in New Orleans onto the clouds, and then that's what gives you like the appearance of like UFOs. And I'm like, dog, people believe this nonsense? I'm like, dog, people had to be so gullible. I kid you not. Like that is the most insane thing possible, to know the fact that people were actually walking around discussing that and actually believing. I'm like, everything is cooked. It's a done story. And then going on to the future, where people for like the last 30, 40, whatever years, like, yo, UFOs don't exist. They're not real. Nobody ever seen this. Nobody ever had that. And now all of a sudden, the United States government is like, well, Trump stepped into office, number one. He's like, yeah, we got a space force. So we got an army for space. What's out there in space? I thought we were the only ones here, right? Going back to the Bible, we're the only ones in the universe, right? God didn't create nothing else. There's nothing directly out there in these cosmos and this planet or planets or whatnot. It's only just humans. We are the greatest things ever to be created, right? But now we got a space force. And then the United States government's like, yeah, we're going to give y'all unclassified documents talking about UFOs and all this other type of stuff, and how we receive radio signals, and we've had some inaudible conversations, and then them also sitting up there saying like, yeah, we have extraterrestrials both above in space and also below in our sea waters. Huh? And people didn't lose it. People didn't sit up there and say nothing. But then people decided to believe the government, or at least Florida, when they sat up there and said like, yeah, remember those kids in that mall where they sat up there and said they saw like 12 or 20 feet beings and portals open up? No, it's no such thing as portals. No. They never saw any of those things. What happened was, it was 5 kids with fireworks or maybe some gang related activity, and we had to bring the whole state of Florida directly to that mall in order to get everything, pretty much quieted down, on top of the fact of confiscating people's cell phones. And people were okay with that story. people just believe that story and just let that directly be. All I'm saying is that over time, over these last few years, they've given a lot of test runs to see how people are going to react to a variety of information and how quick the change in however quick the change in information is, again, how it is that people are going to react to it. The greatest reaction that they ever got was during the pandemic from the American public. That was the greatest reaction that they ever got. And they're trying to figure out a way to duplicate that, and they can't. I mean, technically, so to say, but using this other stuff is not going to specifically work. It's not going to get, people into compliance, and it's not going to do a variety of other things and whatnot or whatever. But, like I said, it's a lot of test runs going on out here, and people are not seeing it. It'd be like that, though. Sly said, I saw an enormous red glowing ball gliding across the tree line right in front of my house a few months ago, silent as a church mouse. I mean, they got a lot of stuff up there in Canada and Russia that happens very frequently. And it'd be like that. You got different things that have happened, anomalies, as people would like to say, on radars, which people have spotted, where you've had these magical streaks that have, appeared on the radar and then disappeared at very high speeds. You've had radar paying attention to things, in the depths of the water, like a large shadow moving from like Antarctica up north. And I'm like, what is that? So I'm like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, nobody can explain it, directly to me. I don't think we actually received a valid explanation directly on what that quote unquote anomaly was. But yeah, like I said, quote unquote scientists have a way to excuse everything. And people believe it. People will believe it. Mo said, yep, those kids opened up a CERN portal. Shem said, LOL, I live in the country or yeah, you say you live in the country, was coming home down a dark highway one night and saw something follow me in the sky. I thought it was a drone, but it zipped off too fast. Tippy said, that's Seiji. I care about what's going on. But I'm not a superwoman. I'm not a female version of the equalizer. This woman every single time. Every time Tippy does this to me, Shem was like, whatever it was, they really don't something too much about abducting black. They don't care too much about abducting black people. Yeah. I think Ronald typed in hi. So I see what is up. What is up? What else? What else? Gail says she looks like she covers up her BV with Bath and Body Works. That's crazy. That's wild. That is wild. Oh man. That's why I came with y'all. This is why I came with y'all. So I got a question for my mods that are currently here. Are you guys normally on TikTok? Let me know for my mods. Let me know if y'all are normally on TikTok from time to time, because I'm trying to figure out if I will, start doing some lives directly on there, but I would again have to bring y'all directly up there to mod the channel, because you got a lot of people that'll just start like pulling up and saying some stuff. I mean, I'm not really. I mean, with TikTok is different. It's like it's a hit or miss. Sometimes what you talk about, it may get a lot of people, then other times it may just be like a few people. Like sometimes how it is on here. Sham said, nope, not on TikTok. Tippy said, I heard that. Wait, what? What is Tippy talking about? Gail said, nope, this is the only social I have. Sham was like, I regret asking. That's crazy. Concern said yes. Okay. What is it? Tippy said, is the stream freezing? It shouldn't be freezing. It should. Wait, let me see something real quick. Mo said YouTube is my only social media. I swear I didn't seen. I swear to goodness I didn't seen Mo directly on TikTok. Swear I didn't seen that man up there. Because at one point I thought about the whole thing with IG. Well, the other thing too is TikTok doesn't normally sit up there and save live streams either. So whatever live streaming that is that live stream, and that's it. It's not like YouTube or I don't think IG saves lives either. So yeah, it's not like X or YouTube or Twitch. So it's pretty much a one and done thing. Pretty much a one and done thing. Sham said, no, the stream is fine. What was it? Tippy said, I have the app, but I don't use it. Okay. Gail said, don't let us stop your coin, Seji. You'll just have to get some new recruits. No. Because what I'm saying is, like, even if, like, you know, I got a lot of moderators here, but, you know, everybody is not, you know, on YouTube anymore, or, you know, however that basically worked, or some people may have forgotten their accounts or whatnot, or whatever. Because I would just sit up there and automatically have y'all just like mod it just in case y'all did make an appearance and happen to say something. Because if I did, let's say if I did go live and have, you know, brand new people, I'm not sure who that is, because that takes a lot of time to actually trust people. So I probably won't even start off doing that. But I wouldn't want people just randomly just like banning y'all or something like that, because that'll get me mad, because I'm like, yeah, no, we ain't doing that. I'm like, we're not you know, doing that. Mo said, to become a mod, you have to record yourself doing 3,000 push-ups in 30 minutes and email it to this man crazy. Concern said, I think TikTok does save lives. I know I'm not going to say that I know. I think if you have the app directly on your computer, maybe you might be able to do it. But I haven't noticed lives actually being saved. Like if I happen to venture to somebody's page that's live right now, and let's say I wanted to go through a catalog of their previous lives, I haven't really seen those. So I'm not sure. You might be correct. Maybe I didn't do, enough, research directly on it, but I'll sit up there, I'll check it out. I'll see if those actually get saved. Sham said, I can mod for you on TikTok if you want. Tippy said, unpopular opinion. I got you, Sham. Tippy said, unpopular opinion. I don't really like that song. This woman is still on that song. Tippy said, I could get on TikTok. Only Tippy. Oh my goodness. Only Tippy. So yeah, might do that, have some different conversations, because I remember, because I think we tried to have Gail on live before, and the link was not properly working for Gail. It just wouldn't let her in, and I'm like, I think about that a lot, and I'm like, man, it was a lot of conversations Gail could have been a part of, but I knew she was kind of frustrated directly with just trying to get in there, about to just sit up there and like throw the phone. I'm like, all right, gotta figure out something different. I think I may have, because Tippy was up there like, yeah, play one more video. I do have another video, but that video is gonna fly into a whole nother direction. A whole nother direction. And I'm trying to figure out, because I do have another video directly for you guys a little bit later. I got about 2 videos that will be coming up for you guys. When is the video? I think it's about 6, possibly. It's about 5 or 6 o'clock. It'll be pulling up. Matter of fact, because I like to go over these videos, I want to see what people's comments may be directly on this video. So this is a little bit of a different video. So this is on the. So this is from the tonight's conversation. I'm pretty sure anybody who's been on social media, if you've been on X or if you've watched any shorts, you may have come across their content before, where they have a lot of the relationship, type of questions directly for folks and all this other type of stuff, right? So this guy here is going to ask a very simple question, and I want to see what you guys' general consensus. It's only about like 45 of us here, so I want to see what folks' general consensus would be. Oh wait, Concern said it saves for the content creator. Okay. Shout out to you for the information. So that's very much helpful. So I know I can sit up there. I would have to get a whole nother hard drive, so I can make sure to save it, because I don't know what the compression. Like I said, it's been a minute. It's been like 2+ years since I did a live stream on TikTok. But I know the compression rate for a lot of platforms is different. So for a lot of platforms, they don't compress it enough. So something that may, let's say, be like 15 or 30 minutes for a conversation, a live stream, it may be about like 5 or 6, 10 gigs, like something crazy, which it just should not be. So yeah, I would just have to make sure to get a hard drive, which is a little bit difficult because both hard drives and different things for computers are actually pretty high at this moment in time. But anyways, shout out to Concerned Citizen. Tippy said, "Is it going to be racist? Is it? No. It's not like that." Wait. Ash Rabbit said that Jonathan Major's planning to make an anti-woke centers with the failed script writer Ben Shapiro. Lord no. I don't know anybody who's going to watch that. I don't know. Like I said, I feel as though that Jonathan Majors was supposed to be in centers, but due to everything that was going on, they opted to steer clear of that. And you had Michael B. Jordan playing 2 roles, because I feel like that's what was supposed to happen with that film. But yeah. But yeah. But let's just take a listen. Like I said, I just want to get y'all sentiments on his question, and then the response directly from the people on the panel.
How do women create a child with a man that shows them no quality traits, give them wife privileges without men showing any initiative, and then they blame the whole male race for their bad decisions?
It is a woman's decision when she's choosing the man who she's laying in bed with, who she knows obviously that can create a child. If you wouldn't want your son to be like that man, ladies, you shouldn't be in bed and procreating with that man. Us women do need to do a better job of choosing ourselves in men. Why do I say that? Because we see in others who we are, not who they are. So we're choosing parts of us in that man. So whatever is in that man that we're choosing that's dysfunctional, that's toxic, that's unhealthy, those are parts of us that we need to work on, we need to fix. That's our self-love muscle that we need to get up. That's also us having a sense of self and alignment in who the we are, because as we know who we are, as we are better women, we choose better. When we choose better, we date better. When we date better, we marry better. When we marry better, we family better, and we raise better kids.
Clap it up, clap it up, clap it up, clap it up. Tasia, what's up?
That sounded real good. That was real healthy. But sometimes niggas lie. Let's talk about it. There are women that tried their best to actually understand who this man was, see what kind of stock he came from, see what type of man he was to his past children, and you niggas get into their life and still clown and still publicly embarrass them and still make them the second, third, fourth baby mama, okay?
The real question is, who and made you the Gucci? Yes, that's Gucci with the K, the Gucci police.
We're working with children in the community and working with the youth. You see a lot of hurt kids, and I'm just like, hurt people hurt people. It has to stop.
I appreciate the spirit of your question, but I think a lot of what you witnessing out here on the ground is the product of 2 people making one sexual decision, but only one person staying up to clean up the mess.
It takes that patience in getting to know a person. You don't have to lay down, and you don't have to procreate with everybody you meet.
No disrespect, Brody, but it take a village to raise a child. I think this is so nuanced of a situation that we just got to pray for everybody involved.
We also have to hold people accountable.
Praise the Lord.
Let's hold the men that are deadbeats accountable.
Yeah, we got to hold everybody accountable.
Hold on, no.
We got to hold everybody accountable.
We can't be like, we got to hold everybody accountable, but when we ask this question, we always slant it to what that woman didn't do well, instead of saying that even if you don't like that woman, you hate that woman, you don't get along with that woman, you brought a child in this world, and you need to stand up and raise your child. Then you wouldn't be asking your question. But it's niggas that ain't got the backbone to take care of their responsibilities. And then right now, hold on, no, it ain't no respect. I don't have no respect for men that have children and don't take care of their seed. Period.
So we clearly heard that conversation, right? And the brother just simply asked the question. He was like, yo, how is it possible that you got women directly out here that'll make kids directly with the wrong guy, knowing that the dude is not responsible? He's not a good father. He wasn't a good man to begin with. And then somehow from that situation, it then goes to all men being a problem. It was a very simple question. The only one that, in a sense, had a reasonable answer is this woman here. She was the only one that technically had a reasonable response that was not emotional. She came from a very critical thinking, a very logical standpoint. And she was basically saying that when it deals with kids even being produced or whatnot or whatever, that responsibility, in a sense, falls directly on the fact of the woman, right? And again, that's rare that you're going to hear somebody basically say anything to that effect. Now, in reverse, what you ended up seeing is this woman here that have the very thick eyelashes. She got the, the full ensemble, makeup, eyelashes, hair, and she came at it from a, dare I say, basically ratchet standpoint, because she was just emotional all over the place. Because she didn't say that men come out there and lie. She was like, these ninjas, come out here and lie directly to women, and women try to figure this out, and women try to do this and all this other type of stuff, and basically taking any and all responsibility and placing it just solely on one different side. And as stated before, this is the problem when we have a lot of these conversations. And then it didn't help due to the fact that you had a guy right here deciding that, like, let me just sit up there and just attack the dude real quick. Now, I want to note to y'all this, right? The one thing that they didn't even acknowledge themselves, I want y'all to look at that finger. That dude is married. So he is talking from a point of understanding. He's also talking from a point of responsibility of two ways. Number one, he is married directly, doing the whole, thing. He is married directly to the woman that he is with, on top of the fact that he stated that as a black man, he works with kids specifically in the community, and he sees firsthand, the trauma and what it is that these kids specifically have to, deal with. And it seems as though that a lot of that stuff was ignored, even when the guy with the sign, specifically wanted to bring it up. He was like, yo, who made you the police over like women's like body parts and all this other type of stuff and rah rah rah. It was like other than Bryant that was on stage, it seems as though that everybody else ignored his question and they just went in to just attack him. And I'm like, that's highly crazy to me. That's that is highly crazy. And then even when he was there, all right, let me just walk it back a little bit. And he was like, hurt people, basically, meaning both sides. You then had the other guy. Let me see this dude right here, again, still going after the men there. And I'm like, this is why stuff never gets fixed. And when the first guy, again, who is married, he first brought up the question, the only people that you heard in the background having any type of emotions or feeling a certain type of way about the question that he stated, where the women in the background. I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. I'm like, I'm not sure why there's like any type of like feelings or oohs or yelling in the background. I'm like, y'all acting a little bit too emotional for a question that he specifically he was just asking. And again, it's nothing wrong with the question. It's a very valid question. But again, obviously some of those women directly in the crowd are hit dogs, and they cannot, specifically deal with whatever. They can't specifically deal with it. What did rapper say? He said she got some thick lashes. They practically look bulletproof. Captain, what is up? You said, family, I enjoy your content. Keep pushing. Much love, respect, and appreciation. Tippy said, but let's not forget that video of the black dude that said men lie and manipulate women to get what they want from them, use them, and ghost her. Then he said that if men tell the truth, women would not want them. So in that video that you're talking directly about, Tippy, from what he was basically stating, there is a bit of truth directly into that. It's not all guys. So you'll have some guys out here that understand that you got women out here that like being directly lied to. So a guy will put on the whole thing of like, I got, a whole bunch of money. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and all this other type of stuff, because he knows that that will just so happen to attract those women. And a lot of those women that are attracted to that guy for superficial reasons will fall directly for that guy for those superficial reasons. They're not falling for him because they believe that he has a good heart, because he's a good man, because he's going to take care of them emotionally, and he's going to be there, sympathetic and empathetic, and all this other type of stuff. They fell directly for that guy per that example for very superficial reasons. So again, I can't sit up there and say that I feel sorry directly for those women that fell directly for that. If you're only into guys for superficial reasons, and a guy lies about those superficial reasons in order to get to said woman, that's directly on that woman. Because people have stated before that when you deal with dating, it shouldn't be superficial. You should be looking for things that, in a sense, can't, I guess, be, I guess you could say, like faked or copied, like things that are very much authentic. And when people have a certain authenticity directly about them, that'll bleed directly through beyond anything else. Right. But again, in a lot of instances, when you have, women saying a lot of things, 9 times out of 10, it's usually the wrong guy. And a lot of women know who the wrong guy is, and they know who the right guy is. Because when you look directly, and I'm not going to sit up there and like, oh, it's all women directly. When you look directly on social media, when you look on X, when you look on IG, when you look on YouTube, when you look at all these other places of individuals, of women making videos about the wrong types of men, it seems as though that every woman can seemingly fall for and run into the wrong type of guy. I've yet to see videos where women are like, yeah, I just fell for the right guy. I just bumped into I've never seen it. It's for whatever reason, all the women out here can just seemingly be around and with the wrong types of guys every single time. And supposedly the good ones that women are looking for, they just don't exist, or they overlook them, or they just ignore them. Like there's always something. There is always something. Mo said, yep, I listened to the guys on the panel, but I don't understand simp battle. Yeah, it's like I said before, the guy he came with a very logical question, and it dealt with the generalization that happens when women are specifically talking about a minority group of men that they happen to run into that have these characteristics, and magically a lot of women are running into those guys with the exact same characteristics, even though a lot of women will say that they're different. They're not the same as every other woman and whatnot or whatever, but magically everybody has all women have these exact same stories. Something ain't making sense. The math is not mathing. That's, it's pretty much, that's all I'm saying. The math ain't mathing. But yeah, that dude, he said quite a bit of stuff. There was one brother directly on there. I don't think he's there anymore. And he specifically stated stuff from a logical standpoint. Yeah, the brother's name was Trip. I think Mo, you might know who I'm talking about. The brother, I think he may be bald. I'm not sure, but he normally wears like the knitted cap. He got the glasses and he has the beard. And when he basically speaks, it's almost as if everybody is like silent. And he comes from like a very logical standpoint, and depending on what the conversation needs, he'll even go directly at both sides, when it deals with the conversation instead of just dealing with one side. Versus when you have a lot of these other folks that are directly on these panels, they will just decide which one they want to sit up there and attack. So when it dealt with quote unquote Dr. Bryant, she decided, all right, I'm a woman, let me sit up there and speak from a woman's perspective and just deal with the women's side of things. The other woman and then the other two guys, they were like, nah, miss me with all that. We're going to specifically just put all of the blame directly on the women, and we're not going to blame we're going to put all the blame directly on the guys, and the women are just going to go by unscathed. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, that is wild to me, especially given the fact that the guy asking the question, he specifically stated that hurt people, and at the end of the day, the kids are the main ones that suffer the repercussions from the poor decision making of a lot of the adults, of the parents. Sham said, I still can have kids but don't want them. So what I do, I don't be. Well, let me reword that. Sham is saying that she doesn't be out there, right? And you said, I make sure that the dude I'm with understands that I don't want no kids. I keep myself protected, and I'm okay without having relations. Tippy said, I don't like you telling women that you love them, playing the good man only to sleep with them and to dump her. How is that the woman's fault if he is lying? That's why women say women should stay virgins to marry. So the problem with that, Tippy, is that in a lot of instances, when you listen to women have these conversations on podcasts, they will admit the fact that they don't mind guys out here lying, and that they already understood what it was, that it was fake from the beginning, but they just opted to overlook it. Far too many conversations that I've listened directly to women where they've stated that, oh, I know that this dude ain't no good for me and all this other type of stuff and rah 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 and all this, but the physical needs overrode everything else. So because he physically met whatever standards, all the other stuff that women normally say that they care about, that didn't matter. They were like, I'll put that on the back burner. I'll forego that. I will deal with what I need to deal with as long as I need to deal with it up until the time comes. So again, even looking at the conversations that women have, a lot of women will tell specifically on themselves about loving or being in relationships with the wrong guys on purpose for their own selfish needs and or gains, not for anything that's going to specifically build them up, that's going to feed them internally, meaning their confidence or knowledge, intelligence, and pedestalizing them and all that stuff that women like to sit up there and say online. But it's more so just for the bare bone physical needs that they seek directly from guys. So that's why I said earlier, for me, I don't really feel sorry when it deals with a lot of those conversations and all of those videos that I've watched where women want to just specifically complain about all men this and all men that and all. I'm like, you're not taking, responsibility in the role that you played. And that's the problem when it deals with a lot of these conversations. A lot of women don't want to be honest about the role that they played, how it is that they ignored red flags, that they overlooked the quote unquote good guy. They went specifically after the bad guy, meaning that there are television shows right now where very educated women who got college degrees and everything are in relationships specifically seeking out guys who are in jails and prisons. They'll have their conjugal visits and all this other type of stuff, or maybe the dude is about to get out. But those educated women are going directly after convicts. Somebody has to explain that to me. Like, that doesn't make any type of sense. And a lot of people like to have the conversation where they were like, hey, women need to have discernment. I don't know where that discernment is, because you're dealing with somebody that might have been locked up for like 7 to 10 years. You don't know what that man went through, what he's specifically seen, what he's specifically done himself. You don't know what you're getting when you're dealing with that. But you got women out here that's like, oh, I'm just going to sit up there and leap of faith and take a chance as if it's Assassin's Creed and they're about to actually hit a bale of hay. But no, you're going to hit jagged rocks after you jump off that cliff. But you can't tell nobody nothing. Like I said, somebody got to make that make sense to me. We should not have, if we're going to talk about discernment and men being dishonest or lying and all this other type of stuff, then we got to talk about the fact that you have women out here walking through a dark door on purpose, seeking out specific men on purpose, knowing what the end result is going to be, even if they didn't specifically go through it at all. But you got friends, you got girlfriends, you got other women on social media. Whitney Houston said crack is whack. So if Whitney Houston told people that crack is bad, why would you still go through a door and proceed to try crack? That doesn't make any type of sense. It's like it does not make any type of, but LW said all men should not be fathers and all women should not be mothers. I agree. I 100% agree. That's a good one right there. Wait, what was it? Sly said, peace and enjoy your evening. Much love, respect, and appreciation. And to the same to you as well. Let me see. What was it? Tibby said, no. Jim said, everyone that wants kids, that's beautiful for them. But I raised everyone else's child and now I can't stand children. I would make the worst mother. I'm so tired of kids. No, that's understandable. Like I said, you didn't get a chance to, have a childhood and you had to raise, other people's kids. I get that. That is 100% understandable. 100%. Sham said, this is why fathers and mothers got to teach them children. People lie. Man tell you he loves you and doesn't always mean it. My father had no problem teaching me that men and women lie. Trust is earned. Right? That's facts. Shem also said that you trust a man you just met or a woman you just met. That's just stupid, not being naive. Be wise. Don't put trust with people like that. Some of y'all even marry people who you can't even trust. Tippy said, I helped raise 4 kids, and sometimes I get baby fever. I miss their baby smell and laugh. Does that sound weird? I have motherly traits, but I'm scared to have kids. Let me see. Wait, Mo said something? He said, I don't look down on women who don't want to get married or have kids. Wow, that's crazy. Only Mo sitting up here saying something crazy. Let me, this man. Yo, Third, what is up? He said, if you don't have warrants, women are not going to be interested in us as a man. Sham said, I'm one of those people who should not be a mother. No, like I said, that's understandable. And the main thing is that you came to that understanding a while ago, and you specifically know that within yourself. Like I said, I respect that. When people can actually be honest, like this is the one thing I've stated before. When it deals with a lot of adults out here, if people can be honest with themselves and understand that, yo, kids are great, but I wouldn't make the best parent. That's dope. Like I said, I do not fault them for that. I 100% respect the honesty. For me, I almost feel like that honesty should be rewarded, because you're not deciding to go out here and just do it just because you can sit up there and do it. There's a lot of people out here, just like the comment I highlighted from LW. All men should not be fathers and all women should not be mothers. There's a lot of people out here. There's a lot of adults out here that should have never procreated, and they're over procreate, knowing the fact that they are not beneficial to those kids' lives at all. You got people out here that are procreating that have been detrimental to their own lives and their families' lives, but yet they want to go out here and create kids as if they're the best version of any parent directly out here. No. I will go with something that folks have stated before, that just like you got a license for driving a car, you need a license in order to be a parent. For whatever reason, when it deals with these situations, if you want to get a gun, you need a license. You want to drive, you need a license. If you want to work in a certain educated field, you need a degree. right? You need somebody to sign off on a lot of the things that you, even if you want to get a job right now, somebody has to sign off in order to let you get that job. We don't have anybody to sign off when it deals with people being parents. Like that's the everything in life you need a sign off. You need an okay in a sense. But when it deals with kids, you don't. And that's why I set up there and said before, you got a lot of adults out here that do not care about the kids. Because, if a lot of adults did care about the kids, then it would start with them and them being honest with knowing who it is that they are internally versus it being like an oops, I made a mistake. And now I have to be a parent. Not because you want to, but because this is a situation that you made. Rabbit said at Seji, he said King 68, the great said as a joke to a woman that he had 12 kids. And since he was handsome and tall, that woman didn't mind. Yeah, I've seen stuff like that before. I've seen dudes do some test runs on that before where the women, figured that the dude is attractive and that's somebody that they actually want to be with. And the dude had like 8 kids. And she was like, okay, that's fine. I can work with it. I'm like, huh? I'm like, wait a minute. I thought y'all just said that y'all don't want to be with a dude that has kids. But like I said before, if the dude is attractive enough, he can do anything. Like I said, if a dude is a killer, but he's an attractive killer, women still want to get married. They still want to be with that dude. They still want to give that dude kids. Like that's how crazy this stuff is. And like I said, I don't know. The world is just jacked. Like I said, the moment in time that I was able to realize at a young age that women are literally seeking out killers and they're becoming pen pals. They're sending love letters, Valentine's Day cards. They're proposing directly to the moment in time that I saw that, I knew it was over. And that's at a young age. Like I said, go back and look at the 70s when you had some of the prominent killers, the 70s and 80s, when you got these prominent killers out there and the amount of women that were chasing those dudes down and showing up to the court just to see those dudes. Like they literally had fans. And I'm like, this is a stone cold killer. It's nothing. The only thing stopping him from doing that to you is that he has to go through court proceedings. But I'm like, hey, you can't hey, it's just wild out here. It's wild out here. Third said, I honestly don't feel sorry for the women who get dogged out by players. I say this karma because that woman dogged out a good man before getting with a bad boy. Gail said, if you want to fish, you need a license. Yeah. Yep. And that's the crazy part. If you want to go to a pond right now or some type of stream and you had your fishing rod and you decided to cast that fishing rod into that water, somebody, an ordinary citizen, hey, sir, do you have a license to be able to fish here? We have laws, rules and regulations. You don't want to respond to me? No problem. I'm going to call the boys. I'm going to call, my cousin. He's the police, the chief of police. He's going to be, right down here. Let me just dial him up real quick. Since you don't want to abide by the laws and rules and regulations of the land, want to get somebody down here, bucko, who can do it for you. So, that's what they'll decide to sit up and do. Again, you need a license or a certification or somebody to sign off on something in order for you to do it. But again, even when it deals with your own money, if any one of y'all right now wanted to go to y'all bank and y'all wanted to pull, let's say like $5, $10, or $15 or $20,000 out of your account, somebody has to sign off at that bank in order to allow you to get that money. And then when you want to get that money, you still got to wait. They want to ask you questions like, what is this money for? What are you going to do, with this money? Where are you going specifically with it? Like they have they're interrogating you about your own money. But like I said, when it deals with kids, it ain't happening. It ain't happening. Third, I said like the Deadpool killer, women went gaga for him and he deleted 3 women. That's crazy. I ain't even know nothing about that dude. Sham said I'm not ruining nobody's life. I know I look young for my age and whatnot, and I hit the gym. I'm buying time out when my age hits me. Ruining no human. I'm not ruining human beings' life for selfishness. I got you. Let me see. Tippy said, Seji, men are insane too. If female Geppettos are highly attractive, men don't care. I mean, you are correct. You are correct. You will have men do the exact same thing. In a sense, they're not going to try to get married. I'll tell you that. 9 times out of 10, the dude is not going to try to get married directly to that. Men, in a sense, are stupid, but there's a length to that stupidity. There's a trail to it, and that trail is very short. Again, that's not me condoning. That's not me saying that it's right. It's the lesser of the two evils. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that you got women that will get married to and chase after a killer and knock down any door in order to get to that killer, knowing the fact that he's a killer and a murderer, deranged, or he's possibly eating people. When it deals with guys, the guys are like, she's attractive enough to potentially, be with a few times. They're not talking about kids. They're not talking about a marriage. They're not writing in a diary or, dear journal that, X, Y, and Z and all. No. They're not having life plans. It's like I said, both factions are stupid, but there was a limit to the stupidity. That's what I'm saying. It's still stupid. It's still stupid, but there's a limitation. There's a limitation. Third says you look up Wade Wilson, the Deadpool killer. Women went bunk. Let me see. I think I might know who you're talking about. Let me see something. You said the Deadpool killer. Yeah, I remember this dude. That's wild. Let me guess. He's probably a tall dude as well. Probably a tall guy as well. Like I said, I'm not surprised. I'm not even when you look at the pictures that they have, when you type in Deadpool killer and go to like images, they try to basically put the best pictures directly out there from different angles. They're not really showing like any type of like bad photos, really. It's like one photo up here with like a swollen face or whatever. Like I said, all of this stuff is very deliberate because they know that if you want to sit up there and get like a lot of attention to a lot of these stories, we're going to sit up there and specifically out of all the killers, we're going to talk about this guy that we know that fields of women out there are going to fall and swoon directly. Like I said, it's easy. It's like it is easy. Like I said, you can do whatever it is that you want to sit up there and do. Like it's crazy. It is wild. Sham said, LOL. Also, I saw how kids messed up a lot of girls' lives growing up, and that is not for me. He also said it's not an excuse nowadays anyway. It's not like back then. You got a IUD, condoms, female condoms, spermicide, birth control, shots, temporary, tube tying, vasectomies, temp or permanent. Gil said, yikes. Mo said, who controls consensual access, pregnancy, and birth? Like I said, in a lot of instances, a lot of conversations are going to be roundabout. There's going to be roundabout, conversations, and in a lot of instances, we never happen to have solutions, dealing with a lot of these situations, again, which is sad. And you can pinpoint or at least point down a lot of these conversations specifically dealing, with the community. And you would hope that things would actually become better. I'm actually trying to find one other video. I might have to try if I can't find it here, because I know exactly what the woman looks like, because it was another video, but it was crazy. Like the way that the woman was talking, it did not make any type of sense. And I'm like, you really stood up there and you said all of that knowing that you are wrong for what it is that you even stating at this moment in time. Let me see if I can try to, let me see, what's the name of this tonight conversation? Let me just see. I'll probably try to make this the last video here. Let me see if I can find this real quick. I might not be able. Yeah, because I typed that in. This is a bad place to try to. Wait. Let me see if they may. Oh, they ain't posting it on here for a while. All of this is back from 2023. How do y'all have? They got a whole social media and they have not put. Man, that's wild. All right. Okay, obviously that wasn't the thing to look for. What is the lady? What does she basically state? Let me go to TikTok real quick. Okay, there we go. Let me see. Nope, it wasn't her. It might be getting. Yep. Let me see. Okay, yep. That's the one, right? Let me just see where. All right, let me just do this one real quick because this is one of the ones I did want to mention before, and I'm like, this did make no type of sense. Like I said, social media is a blessing and a curse, because you can get some very, good conversations, and then you got a lot of stupid people that'll just pull up to the scene when it deals with some stuff. So let me highlight this one real quick.
Man who is willing to take care of you, the kids, and the household, but has no ambition worth staying with.
When you say take care of, what do you mean?
He pays all the bills. He take care of the kids. He step in.
How he do that with no ambition?
No, he got money. I want more.
You know what?
And he's complacent.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the year when the job market is cooked, when the housing market is cooked, when people are walking away from their children, you got somebody at home that is paying your bills. He is taking care of you, and he is taking care of your kids, and you are figuring out, should I leave him? Are you cool?
Unfortunately, for a lot of men, there are so many women telling them you have to be more ambitious. And it's because they want the ambition to look like what they want it to look like. But his ambition is waking up every day and going to work, waking up every day and showing up for my children, showing up for my home. Like, that's just as ambitious. You know how ambitious you have to be when you are going through depression. Your girl is telling you you need to do more, and then you don't feel like you're good enough, but she don't know the mental and emotional and spiritual battles that you have and how you still trying to show up for your home. That's ambition, baby. Take a moment, read, I think it's 1 Timothy 5:8. Because what it talks about is a man who neglects his home is the same as a man who denies his faith. This man is taking care of his home. There is faith and grace in that. He is being provisional. He's still leading. So we have to acknowledge that, because if not, you're going to lose that. Like, that's a gem, baby. I make my own money. I make more than him.
So let me just stop it right there. Out of all of that stuff that was basically said, she does not care. She was like, yeah, what y'all saying is great and everything. Like, yeah. And she said earlier, because somebody said that I guess he was probably broke or something. And then she looked over in the crowd. She was like, no, he makes money, right? She made sure to say that. But then here she come putting herself on a pedestal. I make my own money. I make more than him. What does that have to do with the conversation? Who specifically asked you how much you make? You came up here basically saying that a man who is doing everything for you is not doing enough. You want him to do more. What do you want him to do? What do you want him to do? You want him to become Dr. Doom and give you the earth and the moon? Like, what do you specifically want that dude to do? Versus, like, huh? He's taking care of the bills. He's taking care of the house. He's taking care of the kids. He's taking care of you. And he makes less than you, all on the small budget of what he is making. He is doing all of that while you are doing what? With all of the money that you make, because you make more than him. You are the man of the house. You're the breadwinner. With all of that money that you're making, what are you doing? Like I said, this be the problem. And nobody wants to ever mention or talk about this. Like I said, and she was brave. She was stupid and brave enough to sit up there and say, she's saying all of this with a straight face. And people wonder why it is that you got dudes out here just clocking out. And then I don't even know if those kids are even his. That's a whole nother conversation. Don't even know if those kids are even his, that he's even taking care. Man, brother, let me just let this.
Right. And you said he pays all the bills?
Yeah.
And you make more money.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you make more money than him, and I want you to know that was not done by mistake. That was a systemic thing that was put into place so that the black woman can be elevated to start looking at their men like they're not doing enough.
No.
It is very intentional, the fact that you make more money, and even though your man is showing up for you, you start looking at him for like, why can't you do more?
The fact that this man is covering the bills, even though he knows you make more, let me tell you what he's doing. This man is willing to maybe put things on pause so that you can elevate. Think about it. What you make becomes almost just yours. What you choose to do, you have the freedom to pivot and pivot and pivot. Try this, go to school, because this man is saying, I'm going to sacrifice and take care of the foundational things so that you can have a choice whether or not you want to work or not. And so when you saying that man lacked ambition, I just think it's ambition in a direction you can't recognize.
Right. So let me just try to pull back, because I got to go back to the face. Right. That's the face of a woman that doesn't listen. That's the face of a woman that don't listen and that won't listen. She thinks that she knows everything. You have literally the main people that they allowed to speak, the main people on that stage disagreeing with you wholeheartedly and breaking down and giving you examples and tell you where it is that you are wrong and how it is that he is doing so much, but it's still not registering. Like it, I'll put it to you like this. Let me just ask folks out here a question real quick. It's only about like 40 of us here. Somebody tell me, if you can remember properly, when is the first time that a man receives flowers? I'll give y'all some time. When is the first time that a man receives flowers? Correct. The only time that a man is actually appreciated, like this man doing all of this work for her, the only time that he'll actually be appreciated is when he's dead. You have a lot of women that sit up there and complain that, oh, I don't get flowers no more and all this other, but you've gotten flowers. You've gotten appreciation throughout your life. It don't matter what time it was. It doesn't matter how frequent or infrequent it was. It at least happened. Men don't receive flowers when they are alive. Men are not appreciated when they are alive. The only value, like I said, when you realize when it is that a man receives flowers, you realize the value that a man has. The only value that he has is when he's dead, when he's gone. That's the only time that people actually appreciate that man. When a man is alive, as you can clear-cut see directly by the face of this human being that is directly in front, she don't appreciate him at all. She doesn't care about him at all. Like I said, that's some crazy work. But people always get up on stage and they want to sit up there and say how it is that men are unappreciative and how men don't actually care about women. But women don't realistically actually care. I mean, better yet, the world doesn't actually care about men. Like I said, what's the main thing that we've always seen every single time that a male rapper is gone? He's appreciated more and he's worth more when he's dead versus when he's alive. Whenever any of these rappers that people want to talk about and they're around, everybody is like ignoring or they're paying attention to all this other type of stuff and rah rah rah. But the moment in time that these rappers are no longer here, this is when everybody want to pour out love and support. This is when people want to pour one out. This is when people want to do candlelight vigils. This is when people want to start leaving flowers randomly on the ground throughout their cities. This is when people want to start painting murals and they want to start doing t-shirts and they want to start doing stuff in the name of this artist. But when that artist is alive, where are you? When that man is alive, where are you? Nowhere to be seen. That's crazy. Like that is 100% diabolical. So like I said, for the women out there that really think that men in general don't care, just think back to all the times that you've ever been in a relationship and when was the last time that you got a guy that you love? Even just I'm just saying, even just a rose or something like that. To be like, hey, I love you too. Like I said, you go online, all you see is women complain about, oh, this guy didn't sit up there and get me flowers. He didn't take me on this date. He didn't buy me this very specific gift. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. But they never sit up there and actually tell you what it is that they do for that guy in order to show appreciation. Usually you'll hear women sit up there and say, oh, he just, he was able to get some. I dressed up. I dressed up for him. Word. That's it. That's I mean, you're that whatever. Like I said, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know, dog. Like I said, I try to, show things from both perspectives. Like I said, I gave y'all one video versus the millions of videos out there where women say that they are unappreciated and men don't pay attention. So it'd be like that. It'd be like that. Eugene Gasson said that I once bought my husband flowers. J7 said the woman in the picture on the video needs to be alone. Third Eye said women only appreciate men when they're doing free manual labor for them. Even that appreciation ends when the task is finished. Ms. Gasson said that she did that when he was alive. Sham said the first date too, I bring flowers. Flowers have meaning, so I bring yellow roses. The first date. Go to Brown said they only love you when they are winning. Gail said if the man is given those things while he's still alive, he'll soon be dead with all the jealousy and envy. It's a lose-lose. Sham said growing up, I learned to do that. I gave my dad flowers for Valentine's Day, his birthday, Father's Day, and Veterans Day. My house is just different, I think. Tibby said I would give a dude fake flowers, but he may be like, you think I'm giving some? You think I'm giving some? Why I need flowers for? LOL. I heard some men would take that as disrespect. Maybe it's best to buy him a video game. No, I get what you're saying, but when it deals with that, you have to. Those are conversations that you specifically have. If you got to do basically acting like that, you might want to have a conversation. Like I said, no dude out here should really have some highly emotional reaction to like receiving. Like if the dude is like, it's tough because I'll put it like this: you got a lot of dudes out here who have never received what they would perceive as genuine emotion directly from a woman. So it would be a little bit difficult for that guy to really register and understand that. Like for certain instances, for guys out here, the type of love that they're used to is just like, all right, not receiving nothing, right? Doing everything, not receiving nothing or anything of the sort, or just something basic is just like, all right, she cooked a meal or sandwich or something like that or whatnot or whatever, right? And you got dudes going like 60, 50, 40, 60 years just getting like that exact same thing every time. And then the moment in time that they get something different, it throws them completely off. And for guys, they don't want to specifically really get emotional because, again, if a woman sees that, then what normally happens is that folks will sit up there and look down on them as like it's less than. Like I said, I get you got some women out here that are different, but I'm just saying in general, when you listen to women out here on these social media streets, right? The minor and the loudest directly out here, when you listen to them, they state that they look down on dudes who show emotions, who cry, and all this other type of stuff, even while at the same time saying that they want a dude to be emotional, to be empathetic and sympathetic. Like I said, it's a whole confusing mixed message, type of deal. So, you may get varying reactions, but for me, what I'm saying is that there should not be a reaction to the extent where a dude is getting overly angry. If he's getting overly angry, first of all, you need to you might want to leave that dude. I'm just being honest. You want to leave that dude, and that dude needs to go seek therapy. That's all I'm saying. That's that's what I'm saying. Mo said I like lilies. Sham said, LOL, my dad said I was a loving child growing up. My dad always kept my flowers and would wear them in his hat or in his pocket. J7 said, like I said earlier, once every blue moon, not the blue moon. Sham said, I like lilies too. I grow them. Gail said, all to be said, I would appreciate fake flowers from the Dollar Tree. They last like oh, Tippy is oh my goodness, Tippy is hilarious. Sham said, to Gail, I love my father. When they said to make macaroni necklace, I made them for both parents, saved my allowance and birthday money to buy him flowers. Third said, if I get a gift from a woman, I'm assuming there are huge strings attached. Basically, it's a trap. Gail said he'll get called a punk for crying. Yeah. There's even like it was to the point where women were having conversations on a lot of these platforms where they were like, the only way that it is acceptable for a man to cry is three ways: somebody died, a child being born, or maybe a wedding day, and that within itself is a stretch. So technically there's only two times throughout a man's life that he's supposed to be crying. Like I said, it's like, a lot of people are destroying what is even potentially out here before they even get next to it. That's the crazy part. And like I say, you try to tell people, Sham said, when I got a part-time job as a teen too, I gave a portion of my check to my dad, so our house really celebrated Father's Day. Seriously, that's dope. That is dope. But yeah, that is it for the viral video section directly of this live stream. We're going for 3 hours and 21 minutes. Much love, respect, and appreciation. And shout out to any and all of the folks that are currently here directly at this moment in time. Much love, respect, and appreciation. Much love, much love, much love. Let me just look real quick on this side. We got about this actually pretty dope. We got about a good 6 K that pulled directly up to the scene. Much love. I'm sorry, actually 9 that pulled up directly to the scene. Much love, respect, and appreciation. Gail said, who thought of the name Punk? I have not a clue. Sham said, LOL, maybe that's why I think it's normal to date and give flowers. I was wondering why when I showed up with flowers for that guy, they looked at me funny. Yeah, like I said, a lot of dudes are not actually used to genuine emotions or women that just like, hey, let me just pour, love and just hand this directly. A lot of dudes ain't used to that. Even going to the extent of having a mother, those guys may still not even be used to that, because remember, every mother is not a mother. You got a lot of women out here that don't really have the emotions necessary in order to actually be there for their kids, because they can't even be there for themselves. So, like I said, it'd be tough out here. It'd be tough. Third Eye said, women want a man to be indifferent, but get mad when we are indifferent. Mo said, Tippy, this man. Tippy said, I would ask him for money to go shopping at the Dollar Tree, and if he had a problem with giving me money, he's a red flag. This woman. I swear to goodness. Yeah, I swear to goodness. Only Tippy. I swear to goodness. But yeah, that's it for the the viral videos. We do got some videos directly on the platform. Again, SEIJIHITO the Second Coming for you guys to watch. That will be pulling up at actually in a minute. So let me just end this live stream so y'all can get the notification for this video when it goes live. Right. So much love, respect, and appreciation. Shout out to the regulars. Shout out to anybody part of the Patreon, Cash App, anybody who has donated. Shout out, much love, respect, and appreciation to all of the mods, also to the trolls, the real MVPs, and anybody that just may have subscribed directly to the platform by way of this live stream, many other videos. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content, and I will catch you guys in the next video and or live stream. Peace out.